Thanks, everybody. As our beginning process of the meeting, let's introduce ourselves, please, all the way down the far left. Far left.
Gaspar Bimba.
Thank you.
Michael Donlan.
Richard Tripp.
Crystal Morin, Secretary.
I would be Lynn Perkins, the chair.
Craig Corbett, Vice Chair.
Donald Burgess, member.
And all the way to the far right, we have Code Enforcement Officer Carrie Owen with us, and our clerk, Eileen Boudreau, is in the back also taking minutes for the meeting. Please be advised that this meeting is audio-video recorded. In the event of an emergency, please exit to the rear of the room. Do not go down the elevator. Someone will get to you. We're scheduled to terminate at 10 p.m., and these proceedings are audio-video recorded. Any other comments from the board before we begin? Seeing no gestures there, thank you. We'll call up the first case of the evening, which is the only case of the evening. Case number 25-144, Sarah Paw Spa, represented by Sarah and Mark Marquis, Sarah and Scott Marquis. Well, the folks, come on right up. You remind me of the first night I came here 11 years ago. I thought I was going to sit way back in the audience and listen. We try. Yeah, there's no hiding from this. Welcome to the room.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So what we ask you to do is read your application, you can read the opening page, 5 criteria, and then any other comments you want to do from there, you're welcome to, and we will barrage you with questions.
Okay, great.
Okay?
Just to ensure you're talking this page first, correct?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So I'm Scott Marquis, and this is my wife, Sarah. We own Sarah's Paw Spa, which is actually next door. So the variance will not be contrary to the public interest because there'll be no changes to the outdoors or footprint to the existing building. It will not be any impact on the area or traffic. Just to add, we don't plan any outside business by any means. There will be no boarding.
Kenneling.
There's no kenneling.
As soon as the dog goes in, gets groomed, it goes right out, so I don't keep them there.
Correct.
Let's have you proceed.
Could you bring your mic down so we can hear you, please?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. The spirit of the ordinance is observed because the change will continue to bring community services on the same small-scale service-oriented commercial character that has existed in the same location. Substantial justice is done because the change of use enables continued productive use of the existing commercial structure without creating impact or public harm to the area. Again, I just want to reinstate that the business will stay within the structure. It's normal working business hours. We're not working at night or long weekends or anything like that. Number 4, the values of surrounding properties are not diminished because there are no changes to the structure, footprint, driveway, or utilities. It is already designed for such use. This isn't a high traffic business. We actually have residential above us now, and we have not had one complaint since we've been there, and we've been there 7 years.
7.5 years and never
7.5
had a complaint. I have
years.
businesses on either side of me and apartments all above me, including me above. And I even checked in with my landlord, and he's never had a complaint, so.
And if I little enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship, please keep in mind, this is our first time filling these out, and sometimes we don't always maybe understand the way they're written or take them as such. But because the change doesn't create any changes of the use of the exterior business hours will be conducted inside during normal daily business hours. Again, if there's if there's something else that this question is asking for, please feel free to ask us. Hopefully that's what you guys would asking. The proposed use is a reasonable one because it is already community established business that will not bring any change to the area. It will enable continued productive use with a community-based service. That's what we have on that. Again, we can,
Yeah, it's not the typical grooming salon. I call it a spa because it's a spa. You bring your dog in. I like the dog calm, quiet. We groom it, and it goes. Either the owner waits for it, and it's out within an hour or whatever, or they go and they do an errand, come pick it up. So it's nothing like the typical grooming, like the wolf meow or bark, anything like that.
Sure. You're on town water and sewer, am I correct on that location?
correct.
Yep. And so there's no impact on septic issues or anything like that?
No, there's no impact on any of the utilities.
You have to do any redesign on the interior, I think you said?
Very small redesign on the interior. There's going to be a couple walls that are taken down and adding a couple walls just to add a room or two. And then there's going to be some plumbing because we're going to be adding wash tubs.
Yep.
There'll be a little bit of electrical work, of course, with that, some lighting, and some outlet changes. The service has already been changed out previously, so it's already a 200 amp new panel. So there's no major service needed on that end as well. As far as HVAC and air, I've already had somebody come in and check it out, and none of that needs to be changed either. There is an AC unit behind the building that's on the property that won't be touched either.
And you're currently leasing or renting the space you're in now?
I'm leasing it.
Yeah, now you're going to purchase this building, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Mr. Dietzel?
No, thank you.
No? Anybody else down the left? Mr. Tripp? Ms. Moran? No. Okay.
Got a couple.
Yeah, Mr.
Well,
Hold on.
yeah. No, you're up.
Mr.
Go ahead.
Corbett, sorry, I forgot your name.
Oh, thank you. Surprise. Happens to be lost in my eyes
One
like
of those
that.
days.
So just a couple questions for you guys. The first one, how many employees are there or would be on site?
There's just 4 of us.
So it's 3 employees.
I have 3 employees and I'm there.
And then about how many appointments a day?
It's 15 to 20, if that. Some of them are multiple dogs or just nail trims. They don't take very long.
And then the last one I had for you, I know you said regular business hours. What days of the week are you typically looking at?
So it'd be Tuesday to Sunday, like 8 to 5-ish. A lot of times on the weekdays we do 9. Huh? Saturday to, wait, did I say right?
Tuesday to Saturday.
Tuesday, Saturday, sorry. Sunday, Monday off.
Typical
Like a salon.
barber shop, right? You
Yeah,
take Mondays
yeah,
off? Got
Yeah.
it.
We don't work super late. We're I'm tired.
What'd you say your hours were?
Like, it's 9 to 5 mostly. Sometimes it'll be 8. It depends. The weekends usually 8.
Mr. Burgess, did you have a question?
No, I was by the other day, and it doesn't look like if there's, should be any problem with this. What, the hours again were?
So it's usually 9 to 5. Sometimes Saturdays will be 8 o'clock.
8
but-
o'clock. So you'd want,
But we typically shut down, like, Saturdays we do like 8 to 3. So we get done a little earlier.
okay, so you want 9 to 5 from Tuesday to Friday?
Yeah,
And Saturday would be the 8 to 5 day?
8 to 3.
8 to 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to keep
And Sunday,
that.
Monday off, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Matt, I'm good.
Mr. Tripp?
Parking, how much parking do you have?
Wait, there.
So currently, there's 2 on one side, 1 to 2 on the other side, and then on the street side of the building, there's 3. So there's not a ton of parking there.
Say again, I can't hear you.
There's a total of about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 total, but some of the, if you crunch them in on the right side, and then
Yeah,
it's
I
a
can pick
one-way
up
kind
a
of
drop-off.
driveway that comes up, and then there's like 2 parking spots. If you're looking at it from the side street, there's 2 parking spots on the left, 2 parking spots on the right, and then 3 in the front.
So you would anticipate parking on Norton Street, not on Birch Street?
Not on the street.
Not on the street.
Not on the street at all?
No,
Yeah.
the way people come in, they come in, they're there for 5 minutes, they drop the dogs off, and they come in 5 minutes, they're picking up the dog and they leave. No, not one customer stays for the timing, and there's a couple different reasons for that. Business-wise, for the dog itself, it's not good to have the owner there because it's not good for their.
Yeah, I mean, they can wait in their
Groomers, but-
car if they're nervous, or if it's quick nail trim, that's fine, but the customer themselves don't stay inside my building, so they either go or they come back.
And you said that you anticipate having 4 employees?
I have 4, yeah, it was 4 of
Including
us now.
herself right
Yeah.
now.
There's 4 right now, so,
Yeah.
So we have 4 stations in there.
so the parking would be acceptable for, it would be enough to accommodate the employees.
Yeah.
Correct, yep.
And
And then
maybe,
probably 3 others for customers to come in,
Okay.
park, go in. That's basically that's how the business works now. As you probably know, Manning Street doesn't have a lot of parking. Our customers are in and out, and we've been doing great with that.
Yeah.
good, thank
I have a
you.
little parking, like sandwich board in front of my door that people just drop off and leave and come back, and never had an issue.
Anything else? Anybody down the left, Mr. Donlin or Mr. Obimba?
I have a couple questions. You had mentioned the 16 Manning Street. Did the lease run out, or space becoming a problem, or what's the reason for a change, or just because this opportunity presented itself?
Yeah, we want to buy like a space ourselves and design it the way we want. Where I am right now, we did some renovations to it, but it's an old building. There's only so much you can do with it. I want things designed a certain way and
Sure.
a little more space for 4 of us. It's kind of cramped for 4 of us.
Yeah.
Right now, we kind of like try to stagger hours a little bit so there's not all of us there.
Sure.
Because I don't like it so chaotic at all.
So are you currently still operating out of the Manning, and this is all just like paperwork until you get things squared away?
Yeah.
Correct.
But there's usually only like 2 to 3 of us there working a day, and I don't have all 4 of us there just because of the space
Sure.
and the noise, I guess.
Fair enough. Do you happen to know what was going on in the Birch Street prior?
We do. Well, we know that there was,
As-
what we were told, there was a massage parlor prior to this, and then a dental office prior to that, is what we were told. Doctor? Okay.
Folks,
Oh, you
please.
put doctor? Okay.
Mr.
Thank you.
Speak to us for now. Mr. Donlin, you all set?
I think I'm good,
Okay,
Mr. Chair.
Mr.
Thank you.
Obimba, anything?
I'm all set.
Let's jump over to code enforcement. Mrs. Owen, you want to help us out with your impressions?
Sure, thank you. As we're aware, this property is located in the office medical business district. This business type is not specifically defined in our zoning ordinance, therefore the variance is being requested. So we're looking at a planner's dictionary, and it defines this as animal grooming service. And it's basically an establishment, public or private, bathed, clipped, combed for the purpose of enhancing aesthetic value and health, for which a fee is charged. So this is an existing single-story building. It previously has operated as a commercial property, prior massage and doctor as well. And the property it's about 1,600, just over 1,600 square feet. The property was granted a variance in 1985. Be cut to construct or to allow a construction of addition no closer than 12 feet from the property line. And then as you stated previously, Mr. Chair, the property is serviced by municipal water and sewer, so there wouldn't be any additional impact on utilities or private utilities. And then standard permits and inspections would be required if it's approved this evening.
All right, thank you, Ms. Owen.
You're welcome.
Folks, what's the comparison? Is this a larger building than where you're at?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is by about 700 square feet.
So your suspect is that though you're relocating from what is the granary out here, I guess, with a more compact area, the same amount of staff, you're going to transfer to a larger footprint?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. All right. Anything else you want to tell us?
I think that's it. I mean, we're more than willing to answer any questions from any concerns.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just,
All right, well, we're going to take a call to public, all right? And anything that's stated, you have an opportunity to rebut, okay?
Thank you.
Good or bad. All right, so we'll do that at this time. We're going to have some phone numbers posted up there for any folks that are remote, and if everybody would shut off their cell phones
My boo-boo.
and anything else that could create a distraction in the process, I would appreciate it. So at any rate, the phone number, we're taking a call for anybody who is in favor of this application, and that applies to anybody that's remote. Mr. Corbett, you got some phone numbers there?
Yep, anybody at home who wishes to dial in, you're going to dial 646-558-8656, and your meeting ID is 323-909-140. Once you're in, you're going to press star 9 to raise your hand, and if you're having any technical issues, you can dial 603-845-5585.
All right, good enough, thank you. Anybody wish to speak favorably here? Seeing no one rise. Anybody wish to speak in opposition to this application? This would be your opportunity. Folks, I'll ask you to step aside and take a seat in the back, and we'll hear these folks out, okay? That also applies to anybody who is remote. If they would like to just press star 9. And ma'am, you need to come up. And star 9 will hear you. And we'll have your name, rank, and serial number, please.
My name is Ann Lavin. I live at 49.5 Birch Street. My house is located exactly 20 feet from the people that are requesting this. Now, if I could hear our conversations when the doctor was there, I'm sure I'm going to hear barking dogs. I'm totally opposed to this.
And I didn't hear the last,
I am totally opposed to this.
okay. And at what time of the day did you feel like this would be imposing on your privacy?
If there's going to be dogs there and they're going to come out and relieve themselves, I have an issue with that, the smell that would be. And he was saying that there's 7 parking spaces, there's 5 if you push it. So even before, when it was the spa, when the massage parlor, people were coming trying to park in my driveway constantly, and I was constantly having to go out there and ask them to leave. I never had an issue whatsoever with the doctor. The doctor was fantastic, that lived, well, his office was there. I've been there for 26 years. My neighbors all around me are really fantastic, and I like the peace and quiet.
But you had said that you could hear,
I could hear doctor conversations with the windows open because the place is not soundproof.
It violated HIPAA,
And in the summertime, the
didn't it?
doctor would open it, and I could hear him. Because I have a screen house that's out in the back,
Yep.
right beside the doctor, where the doctor was. This is like 20 feet distance from where I sit to where a doctor was. And I could hear them. I'm just saying, like, it's a small area. They're very close to each other. And so,
so did you indicate you had something about the bathing?
pardon?
Did you indicate something about bathing,
Relieving.
relieving?
The dogs are leaving themselves.
The dog
see,
is
okay.
relieving themselves.
I got it, okay. So, but you had coexisted with Dr. Gorgel and...
Yes, he
in-
was great.
In about the same hours of operation that these folks...
No, he
installed.
was only there 2 days a week and wasn't there in the evenings.
You understand that these folks aren't planning on being there in the evening in operation as well?
No, but they're going to have dogs coming in all day. And whether they're coming in or not, you take a dog out of the car and they're going to have to relieve themselves.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions for Ms. Lavin? All right, thank you. Anybody else in opposition? Come right up, ma'am. And your name and address as well?
My name is Sharon Cretion, and I'm at 6 Norton Street, which is directly, if you're facing the building, we're to the right of it. our driveway, well, their driveway, we have a plot of land and then our driveway.
So what's your objection here?
Well, I think that we need to be guaranteed in writing that there will be no outside runs or kennels, front, side, or back of the building,
Okay?
that there would be no overnight boarding, or no animals would be left on the premises after closing, that any pet debris would be cleaned up daily from our walkway and any other outside property, whether it's theirs or ours, that the animals have either used coming or going from the property. That's one of the big things that we're concerned about. And also that this is a residential neighborhood. Other than the doctor's office was fine. The last jokers that were there were a piece of work. We had them parking on our side green up there, and my neighbor had to came across the street they didn't speak English, so it was tough to get them to understand that you don't park on our lawn. So, and I don't expect those kind of customers to do something like that, but the other ones were different. But at times, the traffic does get very, very heavy. And if we've got people coming and going, dropping and picking up, they're bound to meet at different hours. Where are they going to park? We had that problem on occasion with the doctor's office. So that's one of the things that I'm concerned about. We do have kids in the neighborhood. And some of the people coming down that street right around the corner are not going slow. They answered the questions about the hours. I did have a question if there's would be a veterinarian on site, or is this strictly what they do? And 15 to 20 appointments a day is quite a bit. They're going to be coming and going. So that is going to increase the traffic.
Were you there when the Booth's Market was operating? Mm-hmm. You've been there a long time.
I have been.
At least 50 years, haven't you?
Not 50,
No?
but no.
Okay. I recognize the name, so I've been in the community at least that long or longer myself. So. All right.
Yeah, when I bought the house, geez, I don't know, there was just me and my 2 kids living there. Because I just gotten divorced, wanted them to live in a house, not an apartment, and was able to do that.
Yep.
And still there. Put a lot of money in that house to make it look like it does, and the house was built in 1904, so there's been a lot of work done there. And I just don't like the idea of all the excess traffic and the animal noises. I'm not, I'm a fan of dogs. I don't mind a dog. But, if they've got a few in there, because I'm assuming there may be, I worked at vets for several years too. And I know when people were bringing their animals in to be groomed, I'm on my way to work, I'm going to drop it off at 9 o'clock and pick it up at noon. Okay, so you're going to have that dog for longer than an hour, hour and a half, unless, of course, they work differently. I don't know that. But there's could be at times a lot of chit-chat going on over there with the animals. So that's my thoughts.
Well, and understanding that the prior occupants probably, whereas they were perhaps deviants anyway, probably didn't have a lot of respect for your property. I'm suspecting that people that have dogs are a little more nurturing and probably are a little more conscious of what your concerns are as far as waste goes.
Yeah, well, I would hope so, because if I have to pick it up off my lawn, it's going to wind up on their lawn. So I don't want to have to do that.
Chip throwing, I imagine it's called, right?
Pardon?
Chip throwing, it would be called, correct? Any questions for Ms. Cretion? Anybody from the board?
Well, one of the points, if they do 20 animals a day, it's about 3 an hour. So that's not really a lot of people coming and going at one time. It's more over the day itself. So,
But I'm thinking of too, as far as where the parking is there. You know, we've got now what used to be a Woods Market is a hairdresser, and that parking lot is filled every day. And then as you're coming down the street, there is an area, then there's a driveway, and then the house, and then another driveway. And then there's also a garage, a double garage that has somebody doing car work in there all the time in the summer. So, you know, it gets hectic. And I'm used to a quiet neighborhood.
Mr. Tripp, sorry.
You said that there's somebody doing car work on your street?
Well, there's a garage there.
There's a garage there.
Yeah.
Oh, so
but it's not like, doesn't have signs out and stuff. I think it's just a guy that does work for people, and
Oh.
it's not a business with a sign or anything.
He tinkers?
Pardon?
He tinkers?
I guess so.
Okay. Mr. Tripp, anything else?
I was just wondering if the guy actually had a garage open there, and that's not what you're implying. You're implying that the gentleman simply does periodic work on vehicles.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. I don't think it's an everyday business.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Tripp?
No, thank you.
Okay. Anybody down on the left there? And Mr. Dietzel, you all set?
All set, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you, Ms. Cretion.
You're welcome.
Did you get all those concerns she had?
Think so.
Yeah, okay. All right. Anybody else opposed?
Hello, I'm Sehi Polanski. I'm over at 3 Norton Street, directly across the street from this area. I actually have a question about the variance. Is this like a permanent change in the status of the area, or if something happens, I mean, as we've seen in Derry, a lot of businesses don't last. And if something happens and they're gone, is that going to be permanently changed so that any business can move in there?
Ms. Owen, let's go over to, I've often said, I've never been invited to a TRC meeting, but I'm sure they're very exciting. You want to tell us about that in regards to this variance?
So for this variance, it wouldn't require a TRC where they're not developing or changing anything on the outside of the property. It would just strictly be a building permit.
And what about future? If these folks abandon it and somebody else purchases it, do they have to go back through TRC?
Depending on what the use would be, yes. If they're changing anything on the site, any drainage, adding additions, anything like that, it would trigger a site plan review. Correct. So it would start with TRC.
There was another business in town up on the bypass, just north of, or south of the plaza there, where the gas station and the Mexican restaurant, and there's a church there. You know what I'm saying? It used to be 7-Eleven. What's that plaza?
No idea.
Over on,
Metro Market.
yeah, right.
I was
And
going the wrong way.
yeah, and south, it's heading towards Robert Frost Farm, and that building is now the Cabinet Depot, and I know that when they purchased that from Dollar Bills, they had to go through a review on that before that usage. Same thing applies here or not?
Yeah, I think if it's a drastic enough change from what it was originally used as,
Yeah.
there's an opportunity to capture kind of an update on the site.
Right.
So as these kind of applications come through and as these businesses come kind of forward, then we internally review and determine what the next step should be.
So does that
Okay.
answer your?
Yes, thank you. I have the same concerns as my neighbors. I have 2 children that are outside a lot playing basketball, and yes, we do get a lot of people racing around the corner and going down our street. And we've had issues with parking in the past, people parking on our lawns, blocking driveways and stuff like that. So I have a lot of concerns about the status change in this business.
Okay, Mr. Corbett, you have any questions?
No questions. like parking's been a pretty consistent trend along with the traffic. Would you feel better? I think I know why Mr. Perkins came to me, as we call it the Bob Mackey sunset clause, that if this were to be approved and then at any point they sold the building, they decided to move on, that the variance ended with that, would you have opposition just to the current salon or grooming salon coming in, or is it really just kind of anything at this time?
I mean, I was okay with the medical office before, and then the massage parlor came in, and that was an issue. So I'm okay with the medical zoning for it, but I just have issues with maybe just any other type of business, especially with like a lot of traffic flow coming in.
Yeah.
Because we're right on the corner there, so it's already an issue, even without anything there right now, so.
Dr. Gorgel had an office in Salem, which, by the way, I attended myself, but that office is in a similar setting, and it was very hectic. But how was, the 2 days that he was operating out of this office? What was?
Well, I could see a trend. It was usually okay, but in the spring, there were tons of people. Everybody was out breaking bones and stuff, apparently. So we had a lot of that. But aside from the traffic, the other issue I have is, what if some of the dogs get loose? My younger son is actually a little afraid of dogs, so I'm worried that if he's outside and somebody gets loose, I mean, it's already a concern because we have people walking up and down to the rail trail as well, so.
Yeah, I mean, dogs are, it's illegal to hit a dog and leave it, you're supposed to pull over. There are different kind of situation, right? And we encounter them every day and hope that they're trained and kept under, control as the law establishes. And we see that, I've witnessed, especially since the pandemic, you see more and more service dogs out there that aren't service dogs going into the grocery stores, and they're trying to rein that in. I know the different branches of the grocery chains and other stores.
Service duck at the Patriots game the other night.
The what?
There was a service duck at the Patriots game the other night.
I'm all set with any questions. You got folks all set? Mr. Tripp? You good?
I
Mrs.
just
Warren?
have one thing to say, it's not really a question. I personally think people that pay to groom their dog, they tend to be a little bit different there. You're not paying for a $100 service and then letting them run, or not intentionally by any means.
Yeah, I get that, but things do happen, and
Right.
with that kind of flow, when you're having 15 to 20 a day, things are bound to happen.
Right. Oh, yeah, I had a husky at one point.
So on the busy spring days, they were, it was hectic, but cars maneuvered around, no one got run over.
I think before we moved in, I think there were 2 dogs that were killed
Oh, no
over
kidding.
there.
Yeah.
That's what I heard, yes.
Well, I grew up in this neighborhood back in the 60s, so I had an acquaintance who lost a dog out in front of a Boots in the similar situation, so I get it. All right, I'm all set, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else opposed? No. Anybody out there, Mr. Provencher?
Mr. Chair, seeing none rise at this time.
All right, so we have satisfied the statute for public input. Folks, you come back up and you have an opportunity to rebut.
All right, thank you. So we're just going to start with the first and kind of work our way through.
Yep.
Again, let's start with the noise. It's understandable that somebody would think that, a business coming in that they think, oh my God, there's going to be a bunch of dogs, and it's just like the movies, you're going to hear it all day long, and I understand that. I do want to keep in mind that our business has been running in a mixed-use area for quite some time. Never any issues with the noise between the neighbors, the residents, or the landlord. Keeping in mind, the dogs are not held there. We do not kennel our dogs. The dogs are not kenneled inside. There's areas for them to be held for a couple minutes if they're waiting for their owners, but we don't hold dogs for hours. They're not sitting there in a kennel barking. That's not how the business is run. There was definitely a concern of dogs relieving themselves outside. We're right next door. They don't relieve themselves outside. If there's a time where they do, it's either the owner lets us know, hey, I don't have something to pick it up or whatever, we'll go outside and pick it right up. We're a very clean business. Normally, they relieve themselves inside, if I can be honest. It happens a lot, They come in, they're nervous, they do it inside. And I'm sure, Sarah can talk more to that.
Very, I'm clean, I've never leave anything out like that. And my clients are very respectful people. They come to me, we're a little higher end of a dog grooming salon. We're not like a pet smart like that. People are respectful. They're respectful of their space. They're respectful of their dogs and everything like that. I've never had an issue in this strip mall that's crammed with a bunch of businesses with anything.
One of the concerns was outdoor use, kennels outside, any runs or anything like that. I can tell you that that's not part of our business by any means. I'm not sure if that's something that the board can write into the ordinance, because we have no opposition to that by any means. Again, with the pet debris outside, that's also part of a city ordinance. I mean, if there's pet debris outside on the sidewalks or anything like that, that's an ordinance that needs to be picked up. We're well aware of that, and we don't leave anything like that at all.
State law, as a matter of fact, right?
What's that?
It's state law, I think.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we certainly abide by that as well. As far as a veterinarian, no, we do not have a veterinarian on. That would be another position that would change the use of the business as well. And so no, just to keep that in mind. Again, it's a pickup drop-off. They're there for the grooming only. They're not there for doggy daycare. This is not a doggy daycare by any means. This is a very individually based to the dog business where they're very well taken care of for their hour and a half, and they go home. And to be honest, if they're not there within 10 minutes, they're getting a phone call.
Yeah, I don't like hearing barking dogs.
There's a lot of our dogs can't be around other dogs because, and that's we work with a lot of specialty dogs like that.
Sure.
And parking has come up a bunch of times. We are fully aware of that. We are more than willing to put up multiple signs to ensure that the customers know, parking for Sarah's Paw Spa is within these areas, please park here.
Yeah, and if any of the neighbors have issues, I'd hope they'd come to me and
Yeah, we
I would
would
assess them
more
right there.
than
I
be
don't
willing
want
to listen to our neighbors. Because we respect them as well. I mean,
Yeah.
they've been there for quite some time. We're not trying to come into the area and, for lack of better terms, throw a bomb in their area where they've had some peace for many years. We're not trying to change that by any means. We'd be more than willing to talk to them and try and take care of whatever they're looking for. Dogs getting loose. Dogs are always leashed. We have the design is that the service area is gated off. The dog's not allowed to leave that certain. They're actually swinging gates, very heavy swinging gates, that they're not allowed to leave that service area unless they're leashed. So when they go to check out, when those dogs are leaving those gates, they're already leashed. Then there's 2 doors to get out. So it leaves
Yeah, the entrance
very
has
little
got 2
room.
doors to it. Plus, I've been in business for 10 years. I've never had a dog get loose, so it's, it could possibly happen, but it's not, haven't seen it with the way I've been running it, so.
And I mean, like she said, there's owners that have, unfortunately, maybe they let go of their leash. Again, things do happen. We understand that. I mean, there's human error at times. But for the most part, we put those things in place. There's a reason why their design has that, is because we don't want dogs getting even out into the customer area without a leash on. And I can completely understand why there would be. I'm not sure if there was anything else. I wrote down those particularly. If there was anything else, would be more than willing to talk about it.
I have one
Ms.
question.
Moran, and then Mr. Tripp.
Do you guys have like a governing board or a health inspector or any of that? I don't know anything
No, not
about
a
dog
health, just
grooming.
the building inspector.
Well, you know how like some businesses have guidelines they have to follow like, statewide? You don't,
No.
they don't have any of that?
No.
That's all I was wondering.
Yeah, I don't sell any kind of, I don't even know if you sell food. I don't sell products.
But like in
so-
the car business, how there's the DMV and.
Yeah.
Right, which, to be honest with you, I'm surprised.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things is for grooming, for our particular business, the groomers have to be certified. State of New Hampshire, you do not need that certification, but for us, in order to be
Anybody can groom a
employed, they
dog.
have to go through school. So we're kind of, that's another reason why we're a little bit different than other places, and that we care about these dogs, we care about the families, we care about the community. So we also do a lot of extra services, like for veterans and elderly, that we do free pickup and drop off, and, you know, so there's other things that we do.
All right. You all set, Ms. Moran?
thank you.
Can you hold Mr. Tripp?
I can.
Second, Mr. Corbett?
So I get a couple questions, one for you guys and then one for Ms. Owen after. Parking is my biggest concern as well, kind of echoing what everyone said. Listening to it, we have 4 employees total, and it looks like possibly 5 spots and then handicap spot. And if we're averaging about 3 appointments, you know, at a time, it sounds like it's about 1 spot for a customer. What do we do with the other 2? And, you know, what's the plan if there's overlap? What kind of people coming in as dogs are checking out?
Right, I don't know if you guys are
In
able
the
to
back, there's
go-
enough space for the employees to park, not going on the lawn or anything like that. So in the front, you got, I think it's 2 and 2, right?
It's 2 and a handicap, and then there's 2 on Birch Street side, and then you would have to park behind each other on
Back.
the Norton, the other side that actually faces the neighbor.
Mr. Prevention, can we get another
We're pulling
visual
that
on
up
that?
right
Thank
now.
you.
Yep.
Go ahead, Jen.
So the employees would park mainly in the back, and then probably the Birch Street side where there's 2 parking spots there. So that's 4. And then the customers would be the front where the handicapped and the other spot is.
Anything else, Mr. Corbett?
No, thank you guys for that explanation. Question for Ms. Owen, kind of going back to Ms. Palancy's question about it staying forever, and then Mr. Perkins' question with the TRC. If this changes from the current use of, you know, with the spa, granted that's still within the medical district, would this cancel that out from being able to prevent something like that from coming back in? Or will that always be allowed once we issue this building a variance? Will this just be an additional use for that building?
So that's a great question. Depends on how you structure the variance and if it is approved this evening. So like you had mentioned the Bob Mackey sunset clause, then obviously we know that would go away if the building was sold or the business went out of business. If it is approved this evening, then it would run with the land if there isn't that clause put in place. So then technically another dog grooming business could go in. As our ordinance states right now, the prior use, I believe, is still permitted, as well as a handful of others that fall under, because the way that our zoning ordinance is structured is for the OMB district, it does direct you back to a handful of businesses under general commercial. So there is a lot of other options and opportunity for other businesses to go in without needing a variance. But because we don't have this type of business defined in our ordinance, that's kind of what triggers this. So we can't classify it as anything else right now.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Mr. Tripp?
I'm interested in, how many dogs would you anticipate would be there at a time? Would it be 4, since you have 4 employees?
It could be, depends if there's a nail trim or how.
I can't hear
It
you.
depends, usually, 3 or 4 at a time.
Right? And then you have the situation where
They get picked up and dropped off.
after people drop off their dog, are they taken in immediately, or are they wait to be groomed?
So we try to schedule it so that they go right in and be groomed right away. If I'm behind, I always text my client, hey, I'm 10 minutes behind, and they'll, wait 10, 15 minutes to bring the dogs. They'd rather that anyway. Most of my clients come to me because they don't want their dogs there longer than they should. And a lot of them drop off and then they'll come and pick them up, or they might wait, but I really don't need more than 4 parking spots for my clients.
Yeah.
Because,
So that-
I don't even think we're gonna use all 4 at one time, because it's scheduled it's all different times, so people, I have this one sandwich board in front of my shop, and that's what they use. They come in and pick up, and it's never been a huge issue with that. That's a pretty busy strip mall. It's usually full of, cars. A lot of it's the culinary arts and the hair salons. But they're fine, they're not parking on the street or parking over the Blue Seal, which they're not supposed to. I've never had any complaint.
So is this one of these things where when they're done grooming the dogs, do they call the owners so that they can come pick them up
They text
right
ahead of
away?
I text, they'll be done 10 minutes or whatever, and they'll come pick them right up. That's what I want. That's what I've been running that way for 10 years now. And
So there's rarely a time when you have more than 4 dogs in the
correct.
building.
Yeah, I don't want more than 4 there.
What?
I said I don't want more than 4 there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so especially if you don't have a kennel.
Yeah, and
because
it's
if
like
you-
a calm environment. It's a different kind of grooming business I run. I want it to be calm for the dogs. I want everybody to be calm. So I try to not overwhelm, even my groomers with, barking dogs. And they don't interact with each other. We're gonna have some holding spots. The
Say
client
again?
takes 5 minutes to pick them up, so they're not interacting, not running around playing. I don't do that at all. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you much.
Question, Mr. Chair. If it were to be structured in a way to say that there'd be no more than a maximum of 3 or 4 dogs on the premise at a time, would that be something that you guys would be willing to, or any type of cap in that type of situation?
Yeah,
Yeah, I wouldn't see that there'd be an issue with that. I would just say, what if there was a time where, because there's not many times where there's not, but if somebody brings in 2 of their dogs, it's such a business that it varies, but it doesn't vary much when there's only so many workers there. And the scheduling software that we utilize, literally puts them in slots, and they say how much time they need. They
like a hair
don't
salon.
overlap them. They put time in between them. So it's very structured scheduling. And like she said, if she's running late on the dog, she will text them and say, hey, hold off for a few minutes. I'm going to take you at such time.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it from a way with something else has always been very sensitive is like the auto dealerships, especially not the dog in a car anywhere near the same thing, but when they're going into a residential neighborhood, we'll put something in that, no more than X can be on display at any time, just to kind of keep that in, to keep it within the character of the neighborhood. So that's really what I was trying to see if there was something we could do there, especially with 15, 20 appointments in the day.
Yeah.
I think it also helps a bit with the perception on it.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Burgess.
How do you schedule your appointments? Do you do them every 15 minutes or a half an hour, or as you go through the day?
It depends on the dog. If you have a lab, it's going to take you 30, 45 minutes.
Right. No, just what I'm trying to say is, when you're doing your thing, and you have someone's first appointment is at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And the next appointment would be 9:30, 9:15 for the next person that's going to work there.
Oh, my workers.
Yeah, I'm trying to
We
get...
all try to start around the same time. So if it's a 9 to 5 day, if it's a Tuesday 9 to 5, we're probably all going to be there 9 to 5.
But the appointments are all at 9 o'clock in the morning, everybody's working?
So I try to go in at 9. Sometimes my girls. It depends how the schedule works. Sometimes
Okay.
one of my groomers might only have 3 dogs. She might be 11 to. It depends how she's booked. There's slow days where I only have, 4 dogs.
Then,
The business can't work with 4 dogs at once because there's not enough space, there's not
Okay.
enough bathing rooms for
That's what
them.
Yeah, so we do
You know
try
what
to
I mean?
stagger. Yes.
I'm trying to get an answer to his question that he may not have thought of asking.
Right. I
Okay?
see what you're saying.
So what I'm trying to say is if you have staggered times where these dogs are coming in, that would alleviate some of the problem I think they're looking at.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
some of the concerns that we've
Yeah.
heard, just
That's the deal.
with the dogs in the
So-
neighborhood and then the parking, just
Right.
different ways to
So
alleviate
if
some of
you
these.
structured your stuff, so like every half hour you have someone coming in,
Yeah.
that would maybe work out better for you,
Yeah.
as well as our concerns are. So if that is amenable, could you do something like that?
Yeah,
Can we-
yeah, right now, I don't have more than 3 of us right now because of the space we have, and usually I go in first, I start the dog, I open up and start the dogs, and then
Yeah,
my
so
girls
then
come, my
half
2
an
girls
hour
come
later,
in.
Somebody else comes in,
Yeah.
and then you're overlapping, so that when one dog's going out the door, another dog's basically coming in, and you just keep going down the track, and there's never more than 2, 3 cars in the parking lot.
Right, and allows that
Right.
opportunity when the
Right.
the person with the double dog is
And the
there.
other thing is, we generally try not to have dogs meeting up with each other.
Right.
Yeah, so,
So it's not, one person's dropping a dog, one person's picking it up, we try not to do that. If there's a nail trim or something like that, then she may have a dog there extra, you know what I mean? That's a 10-minute service. But it already works that way now. We couldn't do anything different even where we're at now because there's just no parking over here, you know what I mean? So and we work fine there. So the business isn't growing, it's just moving to a larger area where they're not so confined, and we wanted to purchase.
So you'll be able to do the same amount of animals in the day, except it's a more structured schedule.
Correct.
So, I don't know how we'd word that up.
No, that's what I'm kind of stuck on. So that's kind of where why I settled on a cap, because
Yeah.
it's tough to structure that.
Yep.
But something to think about.
But I mean, like, if we put it in that, a schedule will be set up as every half hour for the dogs to be coming in and out, then that would work out better for the both, I think. Now, that's my
agree.
opinion, and nobody else
Or
might
maybe a
like
window
it.
between appointments.
Yeah. So that you don't have the 4, in other words, you're not going to have 4 dogs come in at one time. And then have 4 more coming in behind it immediately. That's all. That's a thought.
So I think the problem that you're looking at is, number one, it's fine to set up some boundaries to help something new cohabitate in a certain neighborhood, right? But trying to structure how a business schedules its appointments and its customers is a difficult aspect. Next thing you know, you're getting, code enforcement's getting a call saying, well, they had 2 dogs walking in and out at the same time. Somebody gets caught up in traffic trying to get their dog there, they're later than expected, and the next thing you know, they can't, the dogs are passing. And I think that's difficult to structure that and ask that business to operate in that way. I think you also touched on something, I think Mr. Burgess did about, or Mr. No, the applicant.
Oh,
Mr.
Markey.
Yep, sorry. Me and names are a brutality of mankind that should not exist, so forgive me, but, you're diversified services, right? You have hair trimming, you're doing nail trimming, you're doing whatever else, right? Shampoos or... I think that it's kind of like someone here on the board could associate this, trying to schedule, trying to weave oil changes into their repair garage for automobiles, but what happens if a couple of cars need alignments? The timetable to that is quite different, am I correct?
In one car, oil change takes X amount of time. And
Correct.
I can only imagine
okay.
a Chihuahua being groomed, even though they're not obviously nice, but compared to a 200-pound dog, it's
Right.
gonna probably
Right.
require different things. I've never tubbed a dog, nor do I ever want to.
I like the idea that you can start to structure certain things in that there's recourse for, that gives code enforcement what we refer to as teeth, to be able to operate and keep something that's an exceptional application, give it the bump forward and still accommodate any frictions that could exist, right? If this remained a residential property, somebody could move in there and have 3 dogs and then there's no recourse whatsoever, right?
I have a
Mrs. Moore?
Question for Ms. Owens. Do we have any rules that regulate like mobile grooming or how like Arc Home Care does stuff at home?
I don't believe so. For like mobile grooming, we don't have any type of grooming service within our ordinance. So I don't think so.
Mr. Corbett, you noted a couple of things there I may have gotten absent-minded about, but I think we recognize there's no boarding here, there's no dogs staying overnight, correct?
Yeah, willing to accept, and even willing to put in as a condition for no kennels to be written in.
Or limited to only grooming?
And, you know, one of the things that, you know, we hear the comment about, which is feces being on somebody else's property, and, you know, there is that unfortunate and concern about other people's pets. You know, does a dog get loose, get hit on a busy street? Does a dog get loose and wander into somebody else's yard? I like Mrs. Moran's point, which is that people that are investing in their pet in this way typically are very conscientious about how their pet behaves. You know, understanding that my wife has had experience with another groomer in the community. I think what is described by Mr. Marquis is that same precaution, you know, doors, the access, coming in and out of clients, you know, help with that whole, the nuance that this is just going to be the barking dog kennel, and the dog's going to be running loose all over the place. Looking at the curbing that's zigzagged out here, it looks like you have enough room that you would be able to contain pets and their need to relieve themselves in an area where it also would be out of foot traffic, people wouldn't be walking into it. I don't, you know, setting aside the idea that we're structuring hours or who can come in at what time with what service, that's an area that I can see that the board might ask for a restricted area for pets to go, and that looks like a decent area. Keeps pets away from the Lavin property and contains
Emergency
them.
relief.
Yeah. Right. I'm just throwing that out there, and I'm doing it now as before we approach or get into deliberative. I want to make sure all my questions are asked ahead of time before we can't take input from the applicant. So those are some thoughts.
In my experience, having dogs pee in one spot eventually starts to smell awful.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we want them all marking territory in the same spot.
That's
And
my exact thought too. If too many start going in one area. it's
as
gonna
soon
be
as it
worse.
rains and,
Yeah.
Well, and I think that Mr. Marquis' point was that you typically don't see that in
you know,
my...
they save it for inside after they get tired.
Yeah. And in my wife's situation, the location she went to was a busy parking lot and with multiple businesses at it, and I don't think, I don't know, the 3 times I had to
Mr.
pick up...
Chairman, I've got to go, take the phone call.
Okay.
From my wife.
If your absence for a prolonged time, Mr. Burgess, we have your blessing to have someone else vote in your place. Very good, thank you.
If I could note on that, again, we're in a, even before there, we were in an area where this is a public area that we're in. As far as relief, there's never been an issue with that. We're very cautious of that, and so are our customers, you know, so we don't have anybody coming in and saying there's feces or anything outside on the sidewalk or somebody's peeing on something. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, and I can tell you that I think what I was getting at was I've never found a place where there was dog excrement in the middle of the parking lot when I was going in to pick up my wife's dog.
We plan on
Love 'em as I do.
soundproofing as well inside, because I want to keep the noise, like, just us working inside the space, like with kind of like a hair dryers or whatever, keep it quieter, bring some soundproofing in. Talked about that.
Okay. All right, I think I'm all set. Is everyone else all set with questions to my right and left? Mr. Burgess returns. If we are okay with that, you all set? I think
Yeah, no
your
further questions
ideas,
this time.
saw a lot of the ideas that were going on there. I think we're talking about containment and sunsetting before we move into the deliberation. Any questions there?
No, I get more into my thought and into. No, I'll kind of get into my thoughts and deliberation. I think it's more of just what I'm wrestling with internally. All the questions were well answered.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Dietzel, would you sit on this, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. All right, you're all set, Mr. Corbett?
Yes.
All right, that being said, let's take a motion, go into deliberation, please.
You can make
So
that
moved.
motion.
Mr. Tripp has it, and Mr. Corbett seconds. All in favor of deliberation, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we're in deliberation. Who wishes to lead off on the idea of acceptance of this before any motion is structured? Nobody?
I'll take over.
Okay, thank
All right.
you, Mr. Tripp.
The actual business, I don't think any of the people that are against it have complained about that. So I don't think that there's an issue there. I think most of the issues that the people that are against this have complained about the lack of parking and the dogs relieving themselves prior to going into the building, and barking and whatever. I think that the business owners have presented themselves in that they're not going to permit an excess number of dogs in the building. They've communicated that early drop-off and late pick-off are discouraged. So I don't think that there's any issues there. Some dogs like to bark, and that's a fact of life. If you only have a minimum number of dogs in the facility at a time, then that decreases the number of dogs that are possibly barking. It seems that they have a well thought out approach to how to operate the business, and I think that it won't be intrusive in the neighborhood.
Has been described?
What?
It's not as intrusive as you have heard it described?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right.
There's a lot of hypothetical problems that were brought up, and I believe that hypotheticals are something that can happen, but the frequency of their occurrence is not demonstrated.
Yep. Mrs. Moran?
I agree with what Mr. Tripp said, and I am lucky enough to have one of those dogs that want to bark, so he is medicated. When he goes, he doesn't like scissors in his face for whatever reason. But because of that, he's medicated, he's great for the whole day.
All right.
Helps.
So I understand the noise, because if my neighbor had a dog and chickens all day long. Just, I know you don't groom chickens, but they're just as loud. I wouldn't want it either, but I think the business will, be extra cautious about it.
Mr. Dietzel?
I think what the abutters were concerned about was, when it comes to the 5 criteria, is the spirit of the ordinance, whether it's being observed, and contrary to the public interest. It seems to me that the reason they need the variance is because it's not specifically allowed under the ordinance, and I think it's not allowed under the ordinance simply because it's almost impossible to anticipate when you're writing an ordinance every possible type of business that may want to occupy a particular parcel. I don't think this is inconsistent with the spirit of the ordinance, given the fact that we had an artesian spa there before and a podiatrist there before. This is similar in nature to those types of business, in that it's service oriented and it just seems like it's consistent with what we want in that neighborhood. Mr. Tripp spoke of hypotheticals, and hypotheticals are concerning, and they're concerning to me, but it seems to me that the applicants anticipated any such problems and are prepared to deal with them on a case-by-case basis, and it doesn't sound like they might be that there would be frequent problems. I'm also the applicants pointed out that they've never had complaints from their current neighbors. It's much more tightly compact in that where they are now. There are people that live above them, and there are businesses on either side of them. And I would think if they had a barking dog problem, it would be a big problem where they are now. If it is a concern in the future, there are processes in place to address that, and so I think they've met the 5 criteria. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Very good. Mr. Corbett?
Yeah, this is one that I am wrestling with a little bit. And first off, the fact of an established company in town being able to go from leasing to purchasing is everything that I normally speak for at these meetings. So with that, it's not something I necessarily want to prevent. My concerns, unfortunately, are with the property, and I don't think they necessarily have to do with a dog grooming company. It's the parking and the traffic, but the fact that this is classified in the OMB, likely because it got the Birch Street address, but all of the access is through Norton. That's my concern. That's what makes it more out of place to me, that you have everybody's going to be entering and exiting right in a residential neighborhood, 15, 20 times a day, give or take. That is substantial. But while I think a grooming salon is also better than a spa, and it's probably just as likely, I'm sure they saw more people coming and going, but the spa is still allowed, so denying this doesn't stop that problem, which is what I would be trying to kind of stop, if that makes sense. And at the same point, then where I also wrestle is we're now just introducing a new use onto the building too, where we have a building that's already just enough out of place that can already be for a whole lot of meetings under the office medical. Now will start to fit in under the animal grooming, and then it's just kind of, if you give a mouse a cookie, as the slight changes within an animal groomer as it goes, it gets to a point of, what isn't allowed in the building after a while. But again, it's not a residential building, which I think a lot of my concerns would have been able to carry some weight with. So that's just kind of where I'm stuck. I would like to see, if possible, a way to kind of, again, I know, and I'm not sure how we do it, but I'd like to see a way to almost cap how many dogs we could have in at once, even if it's a couple higher than anticipated. If it went from the 3 to the 5, I'd probably feel a little bit better, just to know that there's not going to be that consistent trend, if you got kids right across the street playing, that, they have to consistently watch when the ball's rolling out of the driveway because there's always a car coming in and out of right across the street from them. But understanding that, again, the next spa comes in after the first one gets shut down, that problem exists and there's nothing I can do about it. So that's just where I am at the time.
I have two things to feed off of yours.
Yeah.
The first one is, it is residential, but it's the very first driveway. They're not
Right.
driving by a million houses. But the second one, I think wording it as like no more than 5 dogs being serviced at the same time would be easier to enforce. It gives, adding like how many dogs can be serviced at one time will kind of limit it where they don't have a holding place. So if that one person is late,
That the dog being held counts as kind of being serviced.
no, I mean like in the water serviced.
Well, I think if you have 4 employees, I don't think we'd want to give them 5 dogs.
No, that's
yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
If you wanted to go one
Yeah,
higher.
that 1 dog per employee.
Yeah.
Well, and as you were talking about limiting on dogs, the process of who's coming in and who's going out at one time is something, and trying to tell the business how they should be scheduling is something that I was opposed to. When you were speaking earlier about limiting the amount of dogs there at once, I kind of said, well, okay, I possibly could go along with that, but I thought 6 dogs would be appropriate. That you just never know, and I think Mr. Tripp's point about the hypotheticals, and, hypothetically, we'll schedule it like this, and hypothetically, we will call them if they're 10 minutes late. We understand that those are hypotheticals and not carved in stone, but I also think some kind of limit so that it would not be a repetitious occurrence, that the abutters have some kind of recourse in the event that the business was continually going over its intentions, right? Keeping in mind that this is a tough thing to monitor and to keep up with. But if it were a make or break, 5 dogs, 6 dogs at a time being monitored, I couldn't really, I guess I wouldn't care either way in that regard. Don't have a problem with a sunset in this that would carry over to a future purchaser. I could live with that, and my impression is that the applicant could do so as well.
And
Well, normally, sorry, Chris, normally when I'd put that in, it was when we were taking something from residential, to this, because a special, if this were a special exception,
Yep.
if that qualified, it checks every box, and there wouldn't have been anything there, except, probably outside of the employees. And there wouldn't be much there, but to sunset just, I think, the grooming, when we know what all the alternatives is, if this were to pass, especially, to be honest, understanding the PTSD of the neighborhood, from the last one,
Yeah.
allowing another groomer to kind of take over might prevent what was there before. If that makes sense.
What is
Like,
already
maybe it helps
allowed.
maybe it helps clean it up for future use, because the toothpaste is already out of the tube. What can be in there? So now it's kind of, what can you do to tighten it up a little bit, I guess.
to go with the number of dogs, after overthinking it, get 6 dogs together that like each other, because dogs are reactive. It's
Yeah.
just who they are. So I don't think there's going to be, no one's going to want an abundant amount, because if a dog hurts another dog, I can't even imagine the insurance.
Oh, yeah. And I think it'd be a good time personally. And then again, it's just me thinking back on what I would like back when I had my dog and we would go. Sounds like almost a similar place, possibly the same one that you went to. You kind of go in there, you'd have 6 dogs already waiting behind the door. None of them got out, but they were very excited anytime someone came in, assuming it was their owner. And the amount of times that I was peed on or peed, right next to, just out of fear as they would jump, might have a little bit of PTSD to myself on that, and would like to see a limit.
Were you peeing or the dog?
No, I carried him. He had to be spoiled, so.
Okay. Any debate there, Mr. Tripp? Anything you wish to add into this?
No.
Okay. Mr. Dietzel? sharing
No,
back?
all set, Chair. Mr.
All
Chair.
right. Let's structure a motion then. We do have the state and town permits and inspections. There'll be some alterations to the building, so that's a protocol for code enforcement to be engaged in, and the building inspector. Any signage issues here, Mrs. Owen? I mean, we've already got a big monstrous sign out there. That just remains
It would require still a separate sign permit if they choose to put one up, so.
of the same size.
If you're
anyway.
refacing the existing sign would still require a sign permit.
Okay.
Or if you're replacing what's there.
All right, good enough. And did you want to structure anything additional into this, Mr. Corbett, or any other board member?
I personally would like to see some type of cap, to your point, if it was 5, 6, I think that works. Again, I think it just also helps with the congestion and the traffic.
Mm-hmm. You want to go 5 or 6? Mrs. Moran?
Crystal?
Yeah, Mrs. Crystal.
I feel comfortable if you give them 6.
Okay.
Because everyone runs late on the same day. We all had that second Monday together.
Okay.
So that, and the only thing I would want to add is something about the outside use. So the neighbors know that they're not gonna have a daycare outside.
Okay. Does the 6 dogs work with you, Mr. Corbett?
Yeah, that sounds okay. The next one, we want to structure hours as well.
Sure.
I know we got the Tuesday to Saturday.
Okay.
I understand the earlier one on a Saturday. I guess my other concern would be if I was right there, do I want the hours to be expanded on the one day that I'm home, and probably utilizing my yard while it's there, maybe more so with the week. So I don't know if giving the extra time on the Saturday again though, but for the customers it would work. So I guess I'm just wrestling with that part. Would just a 9 to 5 be sufficient for each day?
Because if you want someone that works Monday through Friday to come get their dog as soon as they're done being groomed, they're gonna be a Saturday person.
Mm-hmm. Which is also going to increase that Saturday.
Right, so you have to not put as many restrictions.
All right, well, let's look at the Tuesday to Friday thing. What was the time hours that were requested?
The letter says 8 to 5.
8 to 5, okay? Are we all okay with that?
Wait a minute. The letter says?
To whom
Oh.
it may concern.
I know, but when they were testifying, they said that Tuesday through Saturday would be 9 to 5, and Saturday would be 8 to 3.
I'm okay with that too.
Which is actually a reduction of hours on Saturday.
All right, so 9 to 5, Tuesday to Friday, and Saturday,
8 to 3.
motion break protocol?
I'll second, or I'll make the motion.
And I'll
Thank you.
second it.
All right. Folks, why don't you give us that hour, that Saturday time? Does the 9 o'clock time frame work for you?
So you're saying 9 to 5 on Saturday?
Yeah, I think so. Is that the consensus
No, I
here?
think it was 8.
What did you said?
It's 8 to 3.
8 to
We
3.
try to close up earlier on the weekend.
Yeah.
But
So 8 to 3 Saturday.
You all right with that?
9 to 3 work? A little tight?
I mean, kind of shortening the day, but I also wanted to add that, holiday seasons get really busy. Are we allowed to add Monday as it's a normal business day?
Right.
yeah, right now I work Mondays for just this month, but
I don't have
If
a
we're going to
problem with
structure
the-
hours,
Do Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and then Saturday, 8 to 3.
Monday by appointment only? Or I guess
They're all
appointment
appointment
only,
only.
yeah, 'cause you have no walk-ins.
no walk-ins.
and we could, I don't know if this is a thing, no later than a certain time, no earlier than a certain time during business hours. You could kind of do it that way. That way the neighbors know that they're not going to be conducting business before this hour and no longer than after this hour.
Yeah, that's why I was almost thinking of, and I understand the 8, why I was thinking about eliminating the 8, kind of let people sleep a little bit before they get, they start hearing any of the commotion. No disrespect to that, just the car's coming in, the door is opening, shutting, the dog's getting in and out. Almost like a 9 to 4. No earlier than 9, no later than 4 on a Saturday. I guess the Monday,
It's like one of the longest.
I think the Monday to Friday thing is fine.
Yeah.
It's correct, it's normal business hours.
Maybe
I
a
think-
Saturday.
I think the testimony was capturing how they operate,
Yeah.
but not that we need to be that restrictive. And then I just need a consensus answer on the Saturday thing.
Does it need to change?
I'd like to see, I had 8 to 5, and 8 to 3 I feel better with, I guess. I'd like to see
Saturday.
later
I
than
don't work
8,
till
but
5
yeah.
on Saturday.
If 8 to 3 is what
There's
works.
times where you have,
8 to 3 on Saturday, right?
And it is near a hospital that has ambulances that don't
Right.
shut their sirens off.
stores, the conducting business, you know.
Okay, so we're all set on hours of operation and time?
What are they?
Yeah.
The ones that they
Are we-
testified, 8 to, or we're adding Monday.
Right, but, so is it going to be 9 to 5 during the week,
Monday to Friday.
8 to 5.
Monday
8
to
to 5.
Friday, and 8 to 3 on Saturday?
Right.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
We just contradicted ourselves here. What did we agree on when it opens?
Yeah, I had 9 to 5 weekdays, 8 to 3 Saturday.
Folks, we gotta wrap this up, so what's your hours of operation Monday through Friday? Is
We'd
it
like it
9
open to
9
be 8.
a.m.? Is it 9 a.m.?
Well, right now, it's a little earlier than that, but it's usually 8:30, right?
Yeah, I've been starting
That's
at
the
8:30
earliest
for the
she goes in
holiday,
is 8:30.
but
Okay. So 8:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. That works for you?
yes.
That's the board consensus?
Perfect.
Very good. Motion to go back into deliberation, please.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Second, please, Mr. Dietzel.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right. Okay, hours of operation are resolved, and Mr. Corbett, anything else?
No,
See?
it's time.
Okay.
Do we need to write in the no kennels? They were said, I was concerned, one of the abutters, they said they were willing to have written in.
Yeah, let's go a little deeper on that. No kennels or...
No boarding.
Outside, yeah, let's do the no boarding on number 4. And that covers you in the future. And then number 5, how would you phrase no outside dog keeping?
Outdoor
No
kennel.
kennels.
No kennels.
Outdoor
On
kenneling?
the exterior of the building, okay?
Yeah.
No doggy park.
Dog parks.
No loitering? Yeah.
I don't know if I,
That's 5 conditions. The building, okay? All right, we got that. And did you want to specify a location for pet relief?
No.
Or we saw, okay. Okay, we got 5 conditions, we got a motion structured, and we've gotten input.
Or actually, if anything, if we're going to structure something for pet relief, I would honestly go against what you suggested and say they can't provide an area for pet relief outside. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's.
You know, if a dog goes, they go, but let's not really encourage them to go.
That's right. And the next thing you know, somebody's walking their dog down the street, doesn't even go in here, the dog does his business, and they're getting blamed for it,
Yep.
right? Okay, good enough. That being the case, let's, I think we're all set. Let's motion to come out of deliberation, please.
Make a motion to come out of deliberation.
What's that?
I want you to,
Second?
because we kept going back and forth. I didn't write it. Thank you.
All in favor of coming out of deliberation, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we're outside. Mrs. Moran, you have a motion to read.
I do, thank you. I make a motion on case number 25-144 for Sarah and Scott Marquise to grant a variance to the terms of Article 6, Section 165-35.b of the Town of Derry zoning ordinance to allow the existing building to be utilized for a dog grooming business. Parcel ID 27-063, zoned OMB, as presented with the following conditions. We have 5. 1, subject to obtaining all state and town permits and inspections. 2, limit 6 dogs at one time. 3, hours are to be Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5, Saturday, 8 to 3.
Yes.
Thank you. 4, no boarding dogs. 5, no kennels on the outside of the building. And that concludes the reading of the motion. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Tripp. That motion's on the floor. Mr. Corbett has, I think, a finding of fact there.
Yep. Finding of fact for case 25-144. The board found that the applicants are requesting a variance to allow the existing building to be utilized for a dog grooming business. The property is located in the office medical business zoning district. This business type is not specifically defined within the town of Derry zoning ordinance and is not listed as a permitted use in the zoning district, therefore variance is being requested. This business has been determined to meet the definition of an animal grooming service as specified in the planner's dictionary. The existing single-story building has previously operated as a commercial business, and if approved, the appropriate permits and inspections will be required. The board also includes all facts found in the meeting minutes for this application and incorporates all meeting minutes into its finding of facts and decisions. Does anybody have any additions or addendums to make?
I have none.
No.
All right, seeing no gestures from anybody, all in favor of moving this for a vote, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Mr. Tripp?
I say yes.
Mr. Dietzel?
Yes.
Ms. Moran?
Yes.
And Mr. Corbett?
Yeah, I'm a yes, and while you normally don't have to, give a reason, I did want to, at least explain it to the abutters because I see exactly kind of where their concerns were coming from on this one, and especially with an apology to the little boy across the street who's afraid of dogs. This must be a terrifying meeting for him to have to have listened to. But I think overall that the approval here gives us an opportunity again to kind of tighten up the building, and with the conditions we're able to put on it and that the applicants were graciously willing to accept, really stops what was in there before and kind of can prevent that for the near-term future. So I think overall, it's a better use for the property than anything that we couldn't prevent coming into it. So I'm a yes.
Well said, Mr. Corbett, and the chair will make that a unanimous 5-0. So congratulations, folks, you have been approved. However, anybody aggrieved by this has 30 days to ask this board for reconsideration. After that, recourse will be to Superior Court, okay? All right. So wish you both good luck, all right? And now I'll address Ms. Cretion, okay?
Thank you very much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you for listening. Thank you for your time.
All right, have a good evening. Ms.
as well.
Cretion.
Yes, my question was, I was the one that said that there would be no outside kennels or runs. You said no kennels. So does that mean that they could put a run up on the driveway side?
I don't think you're going to see that.
I'm just asking you, does that mean they could?
We did not make that as a condition, but we did not specify that.
I certainly did.
No, I said we did
Oh,
not
no,
specify
right,
that.
you didn't.
All set?
To me, if a run were to be something like that were to be put up and it turned into a, and correct me if I'm wrong, it turned into a playpen type of area, that would no longer really be, a grooming. I think it kind of starts to change that. I think they would agree if you saw something like that, you could speak to them first, but you could definitely call code enforcement and let them know that it's now starting to expand beyond, the use of what the grooming services would be.
It's a liability issue, too.
Yeah.
We wouldn't want that, for everybody, right?
Okay, folks, thank you.
thank you.
Good evening. I suspect you'll be good neighbors, so I'm not seeing any problems, okay?
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And apologies for missing the run in the notes. I'm trying to jot down the other ones. I said apologies for missing the run when I jotted down my notes previously.
I'm so anti-dog run, I just assume everybody is.
Yeah, I didn't.
All right, the board now will go into workshop and work on some details, interboard issues. If the public wishes to watch, they are welcome to.
Would it be okay for you to have a minute to gather your thoughts?
Me?
Yes, and kind of let the board relieve themselves for a moment or take
Oh,
a
sure.
break.
We'll take a 3-minute recess, Mr. Venture. Is that all right with you?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
All right.
Quiet.
Okay, very good. Board will now go into a workshop, review some zoning board process, decision-making process, legislation that's changed affecting the land use boards, and we'll review a couple other accessory documents relative to this board, Riggins rules, and review policies and procedures, which we really haven't done in a while, and the state statutes are going to implement change in that regard as well. So that being said, Mr. Corbett is going to start off with his presentation, and Mr. Corbett can explain to us the significance of this and significance going forward with it as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so what you guys have for me is 3 different documents, one of which is a PowerPoint that I'll kind of go into in a little bit of detail. The other 2 are really just descriptions for you, and these aren't even necessarily for everybody here. Well, I think it is helpful to kind of review this and to go over it periodically. What my thoughts were behind this is when I joined the board, and I'm sure everybody else here, and no disrespect to the process, but the training that I basically received for it was, Lynn kind of guides you through. He lets you know how we operate, really what the 5 criteria are and how you can go about make your decisions. But a lot of our learning is trial by fire, especially as we get the different variances or the special exceptions. So what I was trying to create here was a bit of almost a document that we can give to new people as they come aboard in the future. If they have something, it's a quick review. They can go through as it defines, some ideas that you want to look past, as we go through it. It talks about any bias and conflict checks, making sure, just some questions to ask yourself before you sit down for a case. Do I have any financial interest in the outcome of this? If you do, something you should recuse yourself some. Have you previously advocated for or against this application? Do you have any personal relationships that can influence the judgment? And if you have a yes to that, one of the things that we get into in the PowerPoint they talk about is, will this pass the smell test to the audience? And if the answer is that it won't, we do ourselves a service just to sit out, recuse ourselves to make sure that for any type of appeal, that we're really not giving the appellant any leverage there. Then it moves into some of the public hearing steps, which is always just important for, especially a new person to know, the applicant presenting the case, open floor for the public comments, making sure that they have the opportunity to rebut any of the public comments, and then closing the public hearing before we get into deliberation. As Chairman tonight made the motion to break protocol so we could ask the question to the applicants. It's something I probably should have asked prior to going into deliberative. When we get into it, it then gives a little bit of a high-level theory of what each of the 5 criteria are and the way that we should be voting yes or no on it. And then it's just some, really just some administrative bookkeeping about record-keeping essentials, of keeping our minutes, making sure that we include all of our exhibits and written findings, that we clearly state our motion, and that our votes, especially our no votes, are tied to the 5 criteria. So with that, I also have a quick, 1-page summary, so if you guys don't want to go through the whole thing right now, that's 1-pager. We'll just kind of summarize. I'm going to go through very high level the 14 pages that I created for this. Again, if it's something you guys would like to review on your own, great. If there's anything that you think would be an addition, anything you think that we don't need here moving forward, happy to make adjustments. Again, I just thought it was a good reference document to have handy, not just Chair, what's the word I'm looking for, not something that I want to implement, policy or procedure that I'm necessarily looking to implement. So as we get into it, page 2 is really our first slide, just the purpose and overview. This is just really where it's letting us know that, somebody joined the ZBA, that the authority is derived from the state statutes. For us, it's RSA 674-33, along with our local ordinances. And really where it just goes over again is the fair and lawful operations, the authority and the legal basis that the board has, just the importance of being impartial and transparent as we go through a case, and just our ethical responsibilities. So it's very high level, but again, it's just, some points people should keep in mind as they come aboard. Moving right along, it then pops into the legal framework where it really gets into the statutory authority and compliance. The separate section is really the legal foundation that we operate on. Again, the RSA that I stated before, more transparency and compliance, details how we are a quasi-judicial process, and they're going to learn that our decisions have to be learned to be based on competent evidence, it's presented during the hearings, and that our deliberations should really only occur while we're here, that we really got to make sure that we don't have a quorum, that we're not replying all to the emails, and really not being caught in a conversation about a case outside of our case. Because the biggest issue that we have there is that this will result in a decision being overturned on appeal, and it'll just make us, look a little bit foolish if we got lost one that way.
Can I have a question?
Yes, Mr. Tripp.
I understand that we cannot talk about the case before the hearing. And during the hearing, obviously, we have to talk about it. Now, is it prohibited to talk about the hearing afterwards, after a decision has been made?
I think, now do you mean to an applicant or a member of the public or within the board?
Oh, just within the board, because, I think that afterwards, if anyone, because during the hearing, it's fairly rigorous as to when you can speak and whatever. But afterwards, if you have any questions as to things you might have missed during the hearing.
I think it's a good question. I would defer to Mr. Perkins and Ms. Owen if I'm wrong, but in my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with one of us talking to each other about, why you maybe thought the way you did, why you saw something the way that you did. I think it's a learning opportunity, almost like at work or on a playing field.
Yeah.
You'd almost be foolish not to ask for that type of advice for someone of what they're looking at. I know, hopefully it was right, for even when I first joined especially, I would ask people on the board, I looked at it this way, how come you were looking at it through this lens? Or what made your line of questioning get to that point?
So the answer is, yes, the board can discuss the case after a decision was made.
Yeah, what I don't think it should do is, how dare you vote that way? What would make you think that's something like...
That's not a discussion. That's
right, and I think that's where we'd probably draw the line.
Yeah.
Would you want to really wait the 30 days just in case it comes back for a rehearing, or, so maybe if you had questions, make it vague? Don't go too deep into it.
And I would, yeah.
Until it's out of our hands.
So I think contextually, it's one thing, it's a bypass comment, and I think Mr. Corbett's hit on it. It's been historic that at the end of a case, you do look at it through different people's perspectives and their arguments that they've made to support or oppose an application. And so that's not unheard of. And I think that reflectively, it's kind of like case law. And outside of the judicial process, within the board, in fact, the higher courts have always have frequently decided the cases of appeal based on whether or not the people sitting on the case have intimate knowledge of their community. So without having that discussion back and forth after the case has been heard, I think it's hard to have that reflective idea of that intimate knowledge within the community. So I think, we're not restricting freedom of speech in this regard. I think post a decision and then perhaps a rehearing request is where you want to fall back into that criteria of avoiding open conversation in a quorum situation outside of the hearing. Some of what Mr. Corbett's painting in this also gets reflected in the Riggins rules, which we'll step into in a little bit, and it touches on those same issues. And we have had issues where conversation has occurred in different circumstances, and the board has been, and different members of a board could be called on it or have been in circumstances, certain different circumstances. So I think all of this that we're going to review and documents that you'll take with you, Mr. Corbett has been good enough to structure these pamphlets. His idea is that those pamphlets be carried forward to assist in the aid of training new members coming in. I will tell you that when I joined the board, and I spoke of this earlier tonight in the case, I came in expecting just to sit in the audience, and I was called out and said, "Oh, you're the new member, you come up here." But after that, there was no hand-holding at all, and it was trial by fire. And it's something that sank into me, and as I have steered the ship, it's every time new members come in, I want to make sure and try to get an opportunity to introduce myself, speak with them in private, and help structure what they should be looking at down the road. And I'll yield to you in just a second, Mr. Corbett. We've had two circumstances where someone has been appointed to the board without ever being an alternate. And that alternate position is essentially a farm team. And in both members that have been appointed to primary positions, it has been a stunning outcome for them. One individual said, "Oh, I'm a hands-on person. I'm going to come right into this board and I'm going to get involved." And when she understood the process, it was very different than what she had thought. So if that hits on all of the purpose of this and the conversation, I hope I didn't overspeak. I'll yield back to Mr. Corbett.
Works. Thank you. Yeah.
For new people, I did this 100 years ago. I got an application and I wrote out what it, like, essentially in plain English.
Outside of the judicial writing.
Yeah.
Yep.
What I could understand
Yeah.
at my level.
Got
So
it.
that's something I think when they're first here, because I was afraid to ask questions. I didn't want to be yelled at.
Oh, yeah.
Still are.
I'm pretty sure I scripted the order that it went in case I ever had to lead a meeting, to make sure to know exactly when to kick it to different people because I was so intimidated
You
by
can
it.
call out, it's me too, it's all three.
Okay. Please proceed, Mr.
All right.
Corbett.
As we move on to page 5, this one is where it gets into the avoiding of the bias. And
Which
again,
page is page 5?
avoiding bias.
You have, it says it on the letter.
Oh, I know the chair is going to laugh, but there's no page number.
Oh, okay. I'll stop referencing the numbers then. The one I've got. So what I also did is, in case you want to add them in, is a bit of a reference. I put in some links too in there that kind of speaks to each of these for more reading, but I really don't want to bog you guys down with that. But yeah, you get into the one that looks like the stock guy here. Not really sure, but he's fine with his Bitcoin, why I use that stock photo now that I actually look at it. But what this one is it talks about how really bias can undermine the integrity of our decisions and really kind of start to lose trust within the community and hurt us in the legal challenges. So this section, it really lets us know, what's a conflict of interest, again, the potential conflicts, if there's a financial interest, any family ties, or if you've had any advocacy on either side of the related case, that it's something we should be recusing ourselves for. The biggest thing that comes back on the appeals, the courts consistently state that decision makers need to be free of bias to satisfy the constitutional due process. So we need to really include the appearance of fairness standard. Again, it's where I went to with that sniff test. And it's really if a situation looks like it's going to be questionable to the public, that it's better for you just to recuse yourself for it rather than do something that could possibly be controversial. Talks about ensuring the impartiality, really that we just need to remain free from bias and at least try to make our questions look like you're not biased one way or another. I don't think that we've had a situation where any of us are, but I know even myself personally, when you start to get on a road and you can feel where it's going, we've had cases where, frankly, the butters stated they felt like we came in biased, we're ignoring them, and our line of questioning went one way. And it's just a matter of just trying to, no matter what, staying right in that middle lane rather than one way or another. Third time through, just to reiterate to them, the recusal and the transparency, that if it looks likely, just sit out the case. And then again, avoid the ex parte communications and any public prejudgments, just to make sure that it doesn't look like you've come into a case with your mind made up. Don't go on Facebook, don't pop into the groups and talk about, how great a drive-through Chipotle would be, over in front of Hood Plaza the day before a drive-through Chipotle comes in for an application here, at Hood Plaza. Just things like that. This again would lead to us being invalidated on an appeal. Moving on to the public hearing procedures, this is the part that I think is where we really start to get to the most important part for people, and this is really what's going on during one of our hearings. So this just really gives them an idea of what's going to be happening here. The hearings are really important to the quasi-judicial process that we follow through, and that it gives the applicants and the public an opportunity to present their evidence and opinions and be listened to, really. So it talks about the structured process, that the hearings follow a clear structure, which again, I kind of have on the checklist here. That we go through the agenda introduction, the applicant presentation, staff reports, public questions from the board, public comments. Really just make sure that we go about each of those before we pop into deliberative. Also goes through the applicant's rebuttal rights, that they have the right to respond to public comments before the hearing closes. Especially just an example tonight, Lynn just fact checked me quickly to make sure that we both had all of the points that the applicants were making down. Really, because again, it's an easy appeal right there. They can state that they brought up a very specific reason why they were against it. The board didn't reference it at all. The vote didn't go their way. Now they're going to appeal that we ignored it. So just something to keep in mind there. Hear something, write something down. Goes in again with the maintaining order and decorum. My thoughts with this one, the clear time limits, and the rules maintaining order ensures that all voices are heard. I don't necessarily think that we need to call out time limits, but I think it's a good reminder to kind of keep the applicants on track. We have times where people get up there and they just ramble. Instead of talking about the 5 criteria, we're hearing every single story that's ever taken place within their family or within a different section of town. And really, let's make sure that we can try to get out of these meetings before 10 o'clock. Even when we joke that we only have one hearing, they have 3 hours to go. Let's keep these on, a nice schedule. And then lastly, just the reliance on the official record. This came up specifically during an appeal, and it's not on Eileen at all, but really one of the ones is that our minutes were too vague and that they didn't feel our decisions were ironed out enough. So our laws state that, if it's a yes, you can just give a yes. But when we give a no, it's very important that we make sure that our no references the 5 criteria, and especially references the 5 criteria of a point that we've brought up during the case. Because again, you want to make sure that it looks like you're only relying on the information that was presented during and we should only be doing this, I don't mean it should look like, but that we're only relying on the information presented during the hearing, that you're not taking, again, the outside Facebook posts that you may have read, your neighbor complaining as you were passing through. We just stick with what's going on during our meeting. Then as it gets to the decision-making criteria, again, found this to be very important for anyone new coming in, is it really just kind of gives you what you should be looking for the 5 criteria here, which we know to be that it's not contrary to the public interest, the spirits of the ordinance is observed, substantial justice was done, the values of the surrounding properties aren't diminished, and literal enforcement would result in an unnecessary hardship. So really just some of the ways to apply this here, for the public interest and the ordinance of the spirit, we're really looking at the variances align with the public interest and really uphold the ordinance's intent to protect the community welfare, and I don't know why I chose that word, and zoning goals. The justice and property values, can be tied together. These decisions ensure the substantial justice is done and that the property values won't be driven down in order to promote fairness and community stability. You hear a lot that anything coming in will typically just see a realtor letter that it will impact it. Should be something that we take into consideration, but again, I think as we've seen before, we can also get another realtor who's going to come in and say that this is going to increase the value of the neighborhood. So see what passes your sniff test as we go through, but really one of those items you could apply to either area. The unnecessary hardship is one that I think, not to single people out, but I think Mr. Dietzel does a very good job of when he reviews cases, is that the hardship applies to the property conditions, being a reasonable use, not necessarily what they plan on using for it, but what makes that property unique that they need to get the variance for this. And then lastly, again, when we give our no votes, they really need to include the findings as to why and reference the criteria with it. So it can't just be that it's against the public interest. State why it's against the public interest. We need to give a little bit of meat on the bone there. This one I kind of find to be the most important. I don't think anybody here really needs the elementary review of it, but do you guys have any questions on this portion or anything in general before I continue running along at record speed? All right.
No, I think it's well-produced and good points.
So then as we get towards the end, it's the appeals and the record keeping. This is the main one. It's really just understanding the sortatory, hopefully I'm saying that right, review every single time. Nate tells me that one. It took a while for me to understand what it was. But what's going to happen, think about the Tom Brady appeal, which I know Lynn laughed at me the first time we went through, that I kept going back to. The courts are reviewing the lawful and reasonableness of this, without retrying it. Really what that means is, it's not did you make the wrong vote, but did you check the boxes correctly? Did you dot your I's? Did you cross your T's? They can't tell you what you think is wrong. What they can tell you is that you did not follow procedure correctly. So making sure that our votes are based on the evidence, that we follow our procedures and that we just go with our requirements. That's the most important thing that we do on all these cases, and really just kind of keep that true. Again, it really talks about how it's important that when we get our minutes that we're really reviewing them, making sure that they look accurate before they're published. Again, prior even to our application or our cases, reviewing the exhibits and the written findings, and making sure that they're correct. We've had a couple of times where we start the case and then we realize that we're missing a PSA or we're missing some type of document that allows the applicant, whoever it's presenting on their behalf. We should have noticed that before, we start wasting people's times and having them come out here. So just something to keep in mind. Ideally, when a new person comes into, let that be their responsibility. Again, adopting the forms and the checklist I thought was helpful, that if we just have, much like Crystal has with her every week, you just have your little notes with you, just making, again, this little one pager that I printed off for everybody. You have that just there to look at. You just go through your questions throughout the case. I think it'll help guide us through some easy decisions. And then again, don't need to hammer home the importance of, our record keeping. The more tight we are, the better it'll be.
Yeah, and to emphasize that too, the purpose of this is, or the one sanctity that we want to keep is to make sure the decisions that are made here remain here, and that they're solid decisions, and that's always been the biggest focus on myself as far as what we do in here and how we respond. So, I think, again, Craig, this is a good document, and it's a good thing to hand somebody as they come onto the board. Thing we have to do is remember how we retain this document for new members, because eventually not all of us that are here now will be here. Do we have a means to store this document someplace?
Yeah. We can keep
Yes.
it on the Google,
Yeah.
on the drive, and
We'll organize
have
our
a folder
files
for
and-
new hires.
Yep.
And that can carry over if we switch systems. We can move that.
Yeah, they'll
so
always
it
have
becomes
edit
like
rights.
an internal website for us.
Okay.
So I can work on, put it on a thumb drive, because I know it was too large to email the PowerPoint over. I think the town's server was blocking it. Yeah, we can put that together, and it could be a living document, something that we kind of update as we go along. Like I skipped over, I didn't have a ton of time left halfway through doing it, so I didn't get to the point of adding in the special exceptions yet. But I'd like to add almost a section into special exceptions as well. But the last thing I put in was kind of for them. I gave little resources, referencing the New Hampshire law book. I found, we've used it at work, which is also why I used it, but I found that UNC has a quasi-judicial handbook that's been pretty helpful for whatever reason, on their website. Recommended that they attend our annual trainings, again, just reiterate everything that we talked about on the prior 13 slides. I stated that, you could reach out to counsel. This thought was more for the chairman, in my opinion, and maybe I kind of tightened that up. But I have seen, I reached out to Nate, who was our attorney that we've worked with, especially when we were originally trying to devise our finding of fact. Lynn and I weren't 100% sure what to go with that. Created an initial template. And after one of our appeals, we kind of sent it to counsel and asked them, what did they think? How should we capture this? And that's still something that we're working to adapt with. But it gave us a good leg to stand on. We were able to point back that our counsel, approved the template that we were using. And I think that helped, especially early on as people were learning the finding of fact decisions. And then last, just reiterate again, continue learning, go to the confident, the more you know, the stronger you're going to talk, the more confident you are, it's going to help you just get through cases better. So it ends on a high note for them. Kind of thought about what we train at work on that one, to be honest. So again, a living document, happy to add to it, happy to update you guys after I add something for the special exceptions. If there's anything that you think would be a helpful addition to this, anything that you think is a little bit of overkill right now, let me know, and then I'm happy to kind of pass it back along, for review, and then I can send a copy to Carrie and Eileen, and you guys can upload that somewhere.
The UNC handbook, can we get those printed, or is it a million pages?
It was long, but I can at least get the link for it and almost provide that, so it's just right there on your phone. You're welcome.
Would it be helpful, we can kind of make sure everything is added on Teams as well, so if anybody is using that, you can access these documents at any time?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Excellent.
Okay.
Can
Mr. Tripp?
I know when I came on board, I was given 2 or 3 binders that had information that you guys had accumulated over the years. Do you still do that for people that are... well, I don't carry mine around, but I was just wondering if the people that have been recently appointed to the board as members or alternates, do you still provide that sort of information to the new members?
We should be, and I'd like to clarify and confirm exactly what we'd like to be providing. That way we can make sure we're providing all of that ahead of time and in the proper format as well.
So we have a mixture. At one point, everything that we received was put into these 3-ring binders. I'm not in love with it, but prior to that, it was all spiral, just like Crystal has. We can, and we get updates as the zoning ordinances change, right? Similarly, statutes that change in the state, we get an updated statute book every year. It's up to the individual members if you want to abandon the 3-ring binder.
Well, I was just wondering, if what the town's role in assisting new members to learn what they're supposed to do was. Like I said, I remember, I don't carry the big binder around anymore, but I did review it and read it, and it was a lot of help, because otherwise it assumes that the new members are able to find the information that they need, Of course, that's a situation where, the existing members could give them a hint, but,
Well, I think that as part of our zoning administrative role in code enforcement, I think we should be providing the appropriate upfront information and documentation to each of the members, new appointed members especially. So maybe I can develop what that list is something that the board would be interested in reviewing to confirm that everything's included, because I'm not as familiar with what may have been presented in the past. And I want to make sure that we have maybe we can create a table of contents and all of that so that it's all just well organized.
Well, again, and Crystal mentioned this, it's the nomenclature that you're dealing with, right? She's had to, she's worked with on her own parameters to get clarification on what, well, let's face it, spirit of the ordinance and whatnot. That's getting acquainted with these terminologies and trying to make them fit. You have the ordinance book, you have the land use development regulations. Those were 2 books that you would always get once you were appointed to this board. But then for myself, it's the interaction of what's your parameters in your decision-making, right? And, reasonable or excessive is one that has always been emphasized when I've spoken with a new member, and as your evaluation in trying to sort out those legal terminologies, But I think again, the three-ring binder has our policies and procedures in it. It has our land use development regulations, our ordinances. And I think-
Section on applications.
And then a section on applications. It's handy, but we never, as board members, we never received, back in, when I came on the board, never received what the diversity of the applications were. And we have several just in special exceptions, right?
Correct.
So, you know, there's a lot to take in all at once, as there is with any board, but I try to shorten that learning curve, and beyond that, it's experience that helps you through it. But those are the documents that I think historically we've had. So.
Have we handed out in the past the Zoning Board of Adjustment in New Hampshire through the Business and Economic Affair document as well? Because I think there's some helpful RSAs and statutes in here that under specific sections of policies and procedures or examples, they can offer a little bit more information as well. We can do that.
Is there case law in that?
There is, yeah.
And that's the recent addition?
This is, yes.
Then I would like to have that distributed. You know,
Absolutely.
in working out this workshop, what was necessary, and you only want to, you only have so much time, but I didn't want to get into case law, but I do want that distributed. It's been a handy version in the past. The former assistant planning director and now the planning director was good enough to share that with me some time ago. And it's something that I try to keep updated on, but I have not done very well in that regard. So if you can have that somehow distributed to the members, it's a lot of pages. I don't know how to go about doing that so that we don't run up the town's budget.
Yeah. Well, it's a separate line item in the budget.
Right.
It's an important
The printing
important
budget,
document.
got it.
Yeah.
With the policies and procedures for new people.
Mr. Chair, if we could get the mics on, please.
Yep.
Sorry. I watch other meetings to get what they're doing, how they do it, and come back to you and ask you, why do we do this? Does that make it, better? So I would encourage anyone new to watch, because I did not, watch a bunch of different random meetings.
I see, okay.
You had even recommended I did that, Mr. Chair, when I first started, so that was helpful.
Yeah, well, the interaction process in the meeting itself is a lot different than reading one document or whatever, and sometimes you never know what's going to come out of the woodwork on a certain case.
I'm pretty sure you're the one that told me to just pick one, watch it.
Yeah. All right, so you all set, Mr. Corbett?
I'm good.
All right.
No one has any additions now.
All right, well, let's go. Next step is review of new legislation affecting zoning and zoning boards. And this was taken from the New Hampshire Department of Business and Economic Affairs. Came to my attention some time ago, and so I wanted to, and I picked out things out of this. We're not going to talk about every single item, nor every single item in depth that I've printed in or had printed and put into your documents. We have, which circles back around to Mr. Corbett's presentation, as well as our policies and our procedures and Riggins rules, requiring recusal of members of zoning boards of adjustment and planning boards in certain circumstances. Now, to Mr. Tripp's angst, they did not number these pages, but I referenced the top corner in the green, which says HB 92, and requiring, that's not the page number, but requiring recusal of members of zoning boards of adjustment is covered under statute.
One more.
It should be the third page in.
Your left.
On the left side, yep.
Oh, these are numbered.
Yeah, it's
I
page
guess they
6.
are. Yep, page 6 it says. However, as Ms. Boudreau was good enough to point out to me, she said, "You're missing pages," and I said, "It's because I want a shorter meeting." So, anyway.
It's good to have goals.
It is, that's right, a short meeting. You got the HB 92, and I'm not going to read to you, but it's an emphasis, again, as we get through the rest of this workshop, you'll see that it circles around to all the documents and kind of gives you a feel exactly for where you should be, how you should be operating, okay? It does emphasize in the last sentence of the first paragraph, a quasi judicial capacity in which the member participated as a voting member, talks about that, okay?
Have we had, sorry, Mr. Chair, have we
Yes,
had a
sir.
scenario where a ZBA member is also on the planning board?
We have not. In fact, this town doesn't permit that. It's all kept separately, and when I read that, I couldn't imagine any town that did do it. However, different towns can do different things. We don't elect our zoning and planning board members. I can't imagine running for election to be on the zoning board, but some towns do have you run for election to be on those boards. So. Yes, sir.
Some of the smaller communities do have people serving on both planning and zoning, just because they can't get enough volunteers to do it. But I believe there's something there's a bill pending in Concord, it might have even passed last session, where they would prohibit, if you're on the zoning board, you would have to, by law, recuse yourself from any appeal from the planning board.
That's this one here, HB 92. Right there, at your hands, just like magic. We've got it.
Imagine that.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Dietzel. House Bill 265, requiring that a public body's meeting minutes include start and end times of the meeting and printed name of the recording secretary. Breaking this law is punishable by death and a $10,000 fine if you don't do it.
Which was
Mrs.
first?
Boudreau will take note of that. Minutes of all meetings of a public body shall include the start time and end time of a meeting and name of the person who produced the minutes. As we are evolving into AI, this addresses that if we did start to take minutes through artificial intelligence, that should be noted. And also, on our motions, we had a specific spot for the second on that motion as it's posted on the agenda for each case. And I'm seeing here now that by statute it needed to be written in, so I guess we need to make sure that we have whoever's seconding the motions is noted there as well. So I don't want to see Mrs. Boudreau doing time in prison for this. House Bill 272 exempting certain agricultural practices from municipal noise regulation. Agritourism was a big thing when I first came on the board. It's responsible for tourism dollars in the state, and so it's coveted. And this just talks about preventing a board or community from regulating noises from agriculture and agritourism.
Mr. Chair, if I
Yes.
may, the town of Derry does not have a noise ordinance. Therefore, my interpretation that this does not apply.
Got it?
We can still investigate complaints, because we do get that, and then obviously take it from there, but individually.
Mr. Corbett,
Yes,
go ahead.
One of our special exceptions comes up with the noxious noise and fumes. So in that scenario, would a farm ever qualify for a special exception where that would then basically alleviate that portion of the check?
I don't believe it would, because I don't think we can prevent,
Regulate noise.
agricultural use.
Yeah,
So,
farms are kind of allowed anyway, all right.
Yeah.
So it's almost kind of a one that may not necessarily affect us.
Right.
Anyways.
Yeah, and going through this, it was, I didn't want to get into planning stuff, but this was just some of the highlights of the new statutes that have been implemented by our legislature.
Some interesting laws.
Yeah. Issuance of building permits on private roads. Mrs. Owen, you want to talk to us about what our stipulations are on that?
So the way it is now, the way it exists today. House Bill 296, in my opinion, doesn't necessarily, for this first section, issuance of building permits on private roads, our process would still be valid as it stands today. So what this House bill is basically stating is that in lieu of, or as an alternative going to the planning board for review, I guess, yeah, so basically, they review and they provide comment to the town council, and then the town council there authorize issuance of the building permit from the code official. So this basically would, you have the option to eliminate the planning board review process if the town council can assure that the private road meets and complies with the municipality's requirements for the road, for the private road. So in this case, the way it exists now is planning board review is still required for the review of the condition of the private road and the upgrades for the required, for that private road as well, which would include drainage and emergency access, really.
Okay.
So in July of 2026, there is a bill that will take effect, which is Senate Bill 281, and that changes that process, which we can get into further. But right now, our process still would remain.
Senate Bill 281?
Senate Bill 281, correct.
All right, very good. Timeline for appeals to the Zoning Board of Adjustment. The one stipulation in there, I think it's about the fourth line down of that paragraph, HB 296, stipulates that appeals must be made within 30 days of the issuance of a decision. And this is going to reflect in one of the changes in our policies and procedures, as we have a stipulation there for administrative appeal, which is 20 days. So that is one of the things that we will look to amend this evening or work in that direction to change that part of our policies and procedures.
Now, do we know, this might be for Ms. Owen, do we know if this is 30 calendar days or intended to be 30 calendar days or 30 business days?
Typically, I'll chime in here, typically everything is on a 30-day timeline. I think the exception, it might say that here, is if the 30th day ends on a weekend or a holiday. So that extends that. But beyond that, it's just the 30 calendar days, historically. And I think if you look at every process, even our appeals, like for rehearing requests, from our decisions, the applicants all have 30 days, and any action or motion that's submitted through the judicial system is, in New Hampshire, is focused on 30 days.
Okay, yeah, we might want to tighten up the spelling on what we presented, but otherwise I agree we need to match those up.
Okay. Let's see here. Jurisdiction of local building code appeals and state building code review. The Zoning Board of Adjustment historically can do a administrative appeal on a decision, but this separates what is a Zoning Board of Adjustment and the building code board, building code review board within a community. And in the event that there is an appeal on some requirement that the building inspector or code official stipulates, that process can no longer come before this board unless it's a local ordinance. Feel free to build off of that, Mrs. Owen, if you'd like.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So it's my understanding that there is not a building code of appeals in the town of Derry. It would be listed in the charter as a judicial board if there was one, and that's established by town council. So it's my understanding that our process still remains as it exists today. So if there is basically a building official appeal, so an appeal of administrative decision, that would still come in front of the zoning board. If there is an appeal to a fire marshal decision, that would then go to the state fire marshal. But there is no building code Board of Appeals, I guess.
And of course, code enforcement will guide us through this so that we do not end up hitting our foot with a hammer, so to speak.
Certainly will.
HB 457 prohibits, puts restrictions on whether or not a town can restrict who's and how many are sleeping in a room or sharing domicile. I refer to it as equal domestic rights. Pretty self-explanatory there.
But it doesn't restrict stating how many single bedrooms versus 2 bedrooms.
Correct. In fact, some of this on what HB 457 doesn't do gets us into the fire code, and of course, fire marshal is probably one of the most authoritative positions in the state. HB 577 amends the accessory dwelling unit law. Mrs. Owen, you feel like sharing anything there?
Yeah, thank you. We have had some conversations about the accessory dwelling unit municipal changes because we've had a couple applications come in front of the board recently. So as we are aware, or just to further clarify, the state passed legislation, so one ADU is permitted by right on any single-family property. And that could be attached or now detached. And our zoning ordinance is going in front of the town council for final approval later this month, and so our zoning ordinance will align with the state legislation as well. So that now includes a limit of no greater than 900, or maximum of 950 square feet, but we cannot I guess, restrict to less than 750 square feet. Whether it's the single-family residence or the ADU is required to be occupied by the property owner, but we can't restrict which location. Adequate provisions must be made for water supply, sewer disposal as well, so whether it's municipal or private. And then, so again, if it's attached to the house, it has to have its own independent means of egress or ingress, whether that's shared through a common space or from the outside of the dwelling unit, or the primary dwelling unit. And I think that's kind of the general gist of it all, so.
And of course, the main thing to permitting for this is the septic design, the approved septic design.
Which
correct?
we require. Anytime you're adding a sleeping room on the property is required to get a state-approved septic design on file. So that way, in the future, if that system were to fail, there is something on file that would then be required to be upgraded.
And we're often reminded of this emphasis as well, and, but, you know, it's one of those things where you don't see it all the time, and it's good to defer back to and just continue to make board members familiar with it as they require or review certain applications.
And I can clarify too, because we've talked about this a few times, whether it's attached or detached ADU on the property, we will require, on the code enforcement side, we will require a certified plot plan after the foundation has been poured prior to commencement of the framing of the structure. So we have that for record, where it sits on the property.
I think on the page that is noted as page 16 and very faint at the bottom of the page, the first line says it adds language that the ADUs may not be subject to setbacks, aesthetic requirements, and to me, that's a kind of a covenants thing, but how are we dealing with the setbacks on ADUs?
What says beyond what's required for a single family?
Got it.
Unless
Okay, thank you.
previously existing.
I think we're all set there. Senate Bill, last page, Senate Bill 284, relative to authority for municipalities to regulate mandatory on-site parking requirements. Do you want to speak to that, Ms. Owen, or you want to just leave it as it's written?
I can clarify a little bit. So basically what this is stating is that no more than one residential parking space is required per unit. And the zoning changes that are coming before town council align with that. So anywhere that, any district that was requiring something different, I think it was manufactured housing and TBOD specifically, those are being changed to one as well, to align.
Very good, thank you. All right, so that will do that review of newer statutes. I'm not going to go through every point on the next document, which is the review of Riggins rules. And I think if you read down through it, you'll find that there's a lot of concepts there that tie into what we've already discussed. This, the process that Mr. Corbett pointed out, as well as ties us back into, the new statutes some of the new statutes that have been implemented. There's a few things on here that are unique. Number 4 on this, don't mingle with friends, acquaintances, unknown applicants, or objectors in the audience. We have had a board secretary in the past that liked to do that before a meeting.
I don't like talking.
What's that?
Said not me, I don't like talking.
That's right. Mr. Corbett's point about on number 5 goes into what he was discussing earlier about improprieties. We do very well not addressing people by the first names. That's number 13. Do be attentive. There was one thing in here that I had which indicated that you could make a very ugly decision. I had it highlighted, and I seem to have the wrong copy, but...
Does that show great respect for the chair?
Yeah, number 14.
Always show great respect for the chair. But no, there was one in here that I noted that will, if you're not engaged, you may end up making a decision that could become very disturbing to other people. So I liked the emphasis there, so... Anyway, take the Riggins rules with you, and it's good to review, and I'm not going to go through every point. Anybody have any comments to that?
Number 15, if a quasi-judicial board, I'll take our role is to catch people on their lies. Number 15 explicitly denies us that right. That's a suggestion.
Do it if you're going to expose yourself or someone else?
I mean...
Do it gently and kindly?
Yeah.
You like that? All right, good enough.
I read this when I joined the board, but the cases I will see, as Mr. Triple correctly point out, there will be some hideous, some pretentious testimony being made, and the hidden motive was pretty much very clear. I think it makes, I don't know, I like how we question, even though it might violate that suggestion there. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, all set. Next, Mr. Burgess, who could not stay for the remaining of the meeting. This was his presentation, but there's points on this that he's brought forward, and I'm going to abbreviate through his documents here. He would, so he picked up on some points earlier in the year, and I told him that we would circle back around to address it in a workshop. So in his first section, and let's be clear where we're going with this, policies and procedures on a board from time to time need to be updated. And in doing so, you might have this document, Mr. Donovan?
I'm looking.
Right there?
Is that the new one?
With the size 18 font?
Well, there's a date on this?
Oh, I got it. It's hidden. Thank you.
Starts on, it says like page, or
My
page 3,
apologies.
section 1.
Yeah, proposed
The one that
policy.
discussed
Yeah, that one.
proposed policy?
Yeah, there's a lot of, I don't think the red lines seem to pop up on this one.
Now, remember Riggins rules. You're gonna
No, I'm not
expose-
involved in neighborhood quarrels right now. And I'm not taking the staff recommendations lightly.
So in section 1, Mr. Burgess suggested that we abbreviate and we change, I'm sorry, let me back up. Any policy changes that we make will have to be read into a record for our 2 consecutive meetings and voted on. And so as I go down through this, we're going to review these proposed changes. And if everybody is in unison on this, then we will have to follow that course of action over the next 2 meetings. Mr. Burgess would like to like to abbreviate the ZBA PM for primary members and AM for alternative members. Those initials can carry on down through, all the way down through the policies and procedures for anything that would apply to those. Is there anybody that has an objection to doing that or would prefer not to? I need discussion on that.
I don't have any opposition to it, but if you're going to create acronyms, I believe you should have an acronym table.
Or at least call it out and say from here on out.
I know that, as Mr. Donlin is pointing out, that you can explain what it is.
Well, that's what section 1
with
does.
With the initial use, but I know that in the past, sometimes it's difficult to find where the initial use of the acronym is. So that's easily taken care of by having an acronym table.
In the event that we did not change a lot in this policies and procedures, and I guess what I'm getting at is, say we follow your lead, Mr. Tripp, and we create an acronym table, but the only acronyms on it are these 3 things. I think Mr. Dietzel was pointing out that this becomes self-explanatory. Does that work for you or not?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I think.
Now, if you only have 3 acronyms, it's not that bad.
Okay.
But, like in the zoning ordinance book, there's probably a number of acronyms. And I believe that there's probably an acronym table somewhere in the zoning ordinance book.
Right. Throughout this, one of the things that describes in the original section of this is it calls the primary member thing was something that Mr. Burgess and I worked out, but I think throughout the original document, it refers to them as permanent members. So I'm proposing that we change that permanent to primary and alternate members. And that's the AM and PM. Is everybody okay with that change of the primary?
Well, I don't see it written, to be honest, I don't see it written through here enough.
Primary?
Yeah, or to put this in, because unfortunately, what almost what happened was it's now a lot of the changes is just introducing PM and AM to a lot of these sections.
Well, yeah, so I'm just looking at this section 1 first.
Okay, sorry, I moved.
That's all right. I want to look at this primary permanent thing, because nobody's a permanent member.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is
Change permanent, I think changing permanent to primary is fine.
Okay.
I think just personally, I don't necessarily see the need to have to use another acronym.
Spell out AM and PM?
Yeah, because I don't think that for the most part, throughout our policies, it speaks to members. And then it discusses, the only time it says alternates is really under the duties of alternates.
Okay.
So I think for the most part, alternates don't have, you're not on because you're an alternate, but otherwise they don't have less rights when they're on, you know what I mean? I don't think that we need to differentiate between the 2 so much.
Okay. So do you want to eliminate the AM, PM?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Tripp, how you feel on that?
I like that idea,
Eliminating it or leaving it?
eliminated it.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Mrs. Moran?
I agree with them.
Okay, very good. So the only change we're going to make is permanent members become primary members. Okay, Mrs. Boudreau, you have that? Okay. Mr. Burgess gets into explicit stuff here. Again, he wants to start to make references to, I guess, shortening terminology. ZBA shall have 3 officers, chair, vice chair, secretary. He emphasizes that. Does anybody see a need to make changes to this?
No, I don't think we then need to add more onto us.
Okay.
We don't refer to ourselves as the chairperson or vice chairperson.
Okay.
As is. I think just chair keeps it gender neutral.
Okay. He redefines the chair in this regard.
Under the duties?
Yes, under the duties. Number 5. Does anybody see a need to have, and by the way, as my pause is that I keep having to go back to what he's proposed versus what was.
Yeah.
And make that comparison, and there's a lot in here that has been documented.
Unfortunately, I think there is some good within here, and I mean this with all due respect. I think it's some of it. We start to take the risk of kind of, what's Jerry Jones's term, circumcising the mosquito. Like, I don't think we need to go all the way through and start adding ZBA PM rather than just the board.
Okay, very good. So are we, does anybody other than Mr. Corbett have any comments there or discussion or disagreement with?
Well, I don't have a copy of the current,
It's under.
oh, this is, oh, all right. Well, I haven't been,
Sound like me in
I would
school,
like
Mr.
to
Tripp.
take some time to look at this.
Okay. you
Now,
want-
because it's the first I've seen it.
Okay, that's fine. But we need to go through while we're doing the workshop and look at other proposed
Okay.
changes, okay? And you can give me feedback between now and the next meeting if you would, once you have a chance to make the comparisons.
Yes.
And unique as Mr. Corbett's reference to the mosquito, I think that's,
To the what?
to the mosquito.
He doesn't need to learn.
Yeah.
So,
Crystal will tell you after the meeting.
Can't show you.
just to be clear, though, Mr. Chair, if you don't.
Yes, sir.
As proposed in this document, the proposed policy procedure changes document, it's like 5A, for instance, is like a direct cutout and becomes 5A in our working document as written
Yes.
explicitly on this document?
Yeah. But we can, and understand that the changes get established essentially from the primary board members. But
Yep.
input's fine. As Mr. Corbett has expressed, nobody's without rights on the board, right? To a certain degree. So the input is fair. And these were just thoughts that went a long way beyond, there's a lot of thoughts, that's all right. And we have to implement some of these. There is the one change in here about the appeal process, which we need to adapt and change in our policies to align with statute. I've gone to section 6, duties, PM and AM. Trying to, as Mr. Tripp is suggesting, and I've had to look back and forth at this a couple of times, looking at the existing policy, I don't see a lot of area here where I want to start altering the document, but I did tell Mr. Burgess that we would review his thoughts.
I'm not opposed, I guess even though I said opposed, now that I see some of them, the acronyms, I mean, switching from the Zoning Board of Adjustment to ZBA makes sense to me.
Okay.
Because that one's at least saving some space here. And
Okay.
that I would not be, I think it's just shorthand to me. I don't know that we need to formally make that change, but that is one that I see that I would not be opposed to.
And
I just don't necessarily see the need to change it.
It's like a 12, 13-page document, so it's not too much. What I don't see in here, though, is any policies on Zoom meetings and members. Do we want to add that?
You might be referring to Attorney Campbell's point?
Yes. But if we want anything more detailed for future people?
Well, what was the result of your discussion with Attorney Campbell on that, Mrs. Owen?
It wasn't accurate what was kind of stated at that meeting. It's more kind of the roll call as you typically do. You stated in the beginning of the meeting that somebody was attending remote, and that's all that's necessary.
Okay.
Want to put exactly what she said?
Well, Mr. Preventure.
Mr. Chair, if we could just ensure everybody's speaking into the microphone
sure.
so we can capture this. Thank you.
I have operated in that process all along. We've had to do it, especially since the pandemic.
Right.
And that was the first I'd ever heard of it being produced to me, and serving on the school board for 6 years and this board, I had never heard of it before. That being said, I don't think I need to.
My follow-up to that is, for applicants, do they need to have their camera on? Like, those are just a little other things that maybe we can add it in later.
Well, so you're jumping ahead of something to note, but I'll bring it forward now. I would like to remove remote testimony.
Oh, I second that.
I don't know how anybody
For the
else.
abutters? At this point, I think, I take advantage of our remote status, as needed, so I don't want to come off as, the rules are for thee, not for me. But I don't see, especially for an abutter, I don't see why, no one's calling in,
right.
To be honest. We very rarely get anything. Mm-hmm. And outside of emergencies, circumstances like weather, mm-hmm. and I don't know how we'd make that alert, early enough, that call to the public.
Right.
I don't see the need for it at that point. I think as a board, we are doing ourselves a disservice just because, tonight we had a relatively full house. But there are times where it's tough to get to 5, depending on the time of the year. And I think if we can call in, and we're able to, depending on where we are or what circumstances are going on, it at least provides a service to the applicants, because it's not making them have to wait an additional couple of weeks or a month. And, it allows us to continue kind of moving through. But I don't think we need the input at this point anymore. I don't see it as beneficial. I think we've had one person call in since June.
Yeah, so it's the two things, right? We would continue on as any board can, as long as there's a quorum in the room, for members or people sitting on the case to make the decision, and understand that if it's too inconvenient for a member to get here, we give that latitude, and that's why we have alternates. But I think as far as the abutters or even applicants, I want to discontinue that process of remote for them. And so that's those two things, and we're on the same page there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Abutters had the opportunity to write a letter. I know we can't ask questions to a piece of paper, but their voice can still be heard.
Yeah, and qualifying this up, through the upper ranks of the administration, and it's our discretion as an individual board to do so, but we're essentially supported if this is what we choose to do. So, Mr. Tripp, you have any thoughts there? Does it matter to you either way?
The changing the policies or removing the remote participation?
Removing the remote participation for abutters and applicants.
I don't have a problem with that. I think it's something that was imposed erroneously.
Yep.
You know, but that was the fear of COVID at that time, which is, I don't believe, justified.
Okay. This is not a policy, so we can make a vote to do that, and then that satisfies Mrs. Moran's concern of, do we need to have it written into our policy? Am I correct? It
Correct.
satisfies you? So we'll vote on that, or take that standard, we will vote on it before we adjourn tonight, so.
Sorry to jump ahead.
That's all right. So, Mr. Corbett, you're okay with, you want to change, you want to put the acronym ZBA through the rest of the document, or you don't want to make the change, doesn't matter to you?
It does not matter to me, but that, I'm less opposed to that one than I am AM, PM.
I'm fine with not changing that, that's fine with me. Any objection there, Mr. Tripp, Mrs. Moran?
I think it's fine.
Okay.
Well, I think the convention should be used. You use it once, zoning board of adjustment, and put in parentheses ZBA, and use ZBA throughout the document. That's how you do it.
Well, I think what I'm looking to avoid is changes just for the sake of changes.
Well,
And I
but
feel like
that's convention. That's how you write documents.
Well, no, but his point is, this document has grown from its intention tremendously, so it's changing just for the sake of changing is what Mr. Corbett's saying. If nobody cares whether we use acronyms or not, then we don't have to.
Yeah.
If people like it, then you can do
Well,
that.
the other thing that is permitted is, say, like you have zoning board of adjustment hereafter known as ZBA. You know, that's there's more than one way to skin a cat. You know, and
So the question is, do you want to go to that extent and change that, or you just want to leave it as it is?
I think it's fine the way it is.
Okay?
You know, creating acronyms is an annoyance to me because people use them and other people don't know what they are, especially when you have multiple definitions for like
AM and PM.
yeah, AM and PM. Yeah, that's a great ad. Oh, what
I
are they
didn't know
talking
we
about?
had a
Morning and
prime minister.
afternoon.
So you're all set with just leaving it as it is in the regard to using the ZBA acronym? Mrs. Moran, you all set with that?
I agree.
Okay, all right. We're going to go on to Section 3, Meetings and Hearings. Mrs. Owen has asked for some consideration regarding the administration of our cases. Mr. Burgess started by saying he wants to spell out in the policies and procedures the paragraph you see, and spell it out as 10 days. Mrs. Owen has, code enforcement is typically required within, at the 10-day mark, but you're looking for something to expand on that, if you want to take the floor there for me.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I did some research on this. There is not an RSA that requires a minimum time frame on which the complete application is required to be submitted. It had previously been 10 days just in our department, but we did shift that. We're at 12 days right now because the 2-week turnover is very fast, and between meeting minutes and legal notices and certified mailings and all of that, it does take time. So that extra 48 hours is very helpful for our department. Per RSA 676.7B, we are legally required to notice within not less than 5 days prior to the meeting. So getting our applications when we have them, it gives us time to properly review and make sure it's a complete application before we legally notice, and then be able to hit that time frame to get that out ahead of schedule.
Is that 10 calendar days or 10 business days?
So it would be 10 business days, but we're at We are currently at 12 business
Yeah.
days.
But this is something that, since this was brought up during the hearing tonight, it would be good to let people know whether it's calendar days or business days. If we're going to make a change, could we put calendar or business in this?
So right now, this is not in our policies and procedures. This is not defined in here. So my recommendation or my opinion would be to not add it.
How does the board feel about that? You want to spell it out?
Well, 10 calendar days is basically, 10 business days is basically 2 weeks.
Yeah, no,
No.
this is just 10 or 12 12 days period, correct?
No,
It's
12 business.
12
I'm
business
sorry.
days.
Okay.
12
Yes.
business days.
But again, it's not in our policies and procedures, so we don't have a time frame defined.
Well, then why have it in here then?
That's
If it-
my question.
Is there anything on their application form when they receive it that's,
There is not, no.
would that be beneficial at all? Like, could we just put that on there without affecting, if we just said this needs to be completed 12 business days prior?
We could do that. One of the documents I'm working on, at least for our website, and that's something that can be handing out along with applications, is planning had created this really nice document, which I'm using as a guide. So here's the list of meeting dates for the entire calendar year, and here's the submission date that goes along with that meeting. So it's kind of clear, cut, and dry. If you can't meet that submission date, you move on to the next meeting.
I think that's helpful.
Yeah.
And I guess my thought on that is that's not, we wouldn't be the only jurisdiction that does that. We have a lot, especially it seems like in New York that I've been permitting recently, where that's the case. We know we have to get our filing in by a very specific day or the exact, where we're going to be bumped to in the future, because it's just, that's how they operate. So I think that helps everybody involved.
So just a little background, this is where the critique started, which was in the spring when documents were being produced on the evening of our hearing. And I had specified that our policy would be to have all documents from the applicant forwarded, prior to that, and made the comment about our policy, and that's where the critique came from and where all this established from. And I was told there was nowhere in our policies that state that. And so the correction was to try and add that in. But I think it goes without saying, right, which is that this board has the ability to ask an applicant for specialist testimony or in any other thing, any other documents or specialists to come in and explain a certain case. We also have the ability to say, to table information or table a case if information's being dumped on us at the last minute. So I think for the most part, the policy speaks for itself without having to write it, that we get all completed information. We don't have an attorney or an engineer passing out propaganda at the last second to try and sway the board, which I have experienced. So the question here is, and to Mrs. Owen's point, do you want to add in the spelling out as Mr. Burgess has proposed at all? And if so, I guess we need to specify 12 days instead of 10. Mr. Corbett, you want to put this in on the policies or?
No, I think I can see why Ms. Owen wouldn't want to, and I think the way I'm looking at it is it's not necessarily, it's not before the board yet, before that application comes in. If the office has decided, there's a deadline for them to gather the information to prepare this, that's prior to it getting to the board. I don't necessarily think we need to interfere with that.
Okay.
And I think that as it stands today, we have discretion to accept anything, if it's brought up.
Yep.
And I think that also works. I think if they're putting together a schedule, it may even stop these discretionaries from coming to us.
Mr. Tripp, how do you feel on that? Yes, no, add it to the policies, don't touch it?
Well, I don't see where we actually have any control over when the package is submitted. So since we don't have any control, I don't see why we should have anything that speaks to it
In our policies?
in our policy.
Okay, I'm fine with that,
No,
Mrs. Moore.
because that way, we can just complain to the town that they're doing a bad job.
Okay. Mrs. Moore, any thoughts?
Where we have the option at the case to table it, I'm comfortable, and I think if we did add it, it's micromanaging, and that's not our job.
Okay, good enough.
If
All
I
right.
may add a quick comment on that too, because there can be applicants that are, they'll dig their heels in, that even if we catch that it's not a complete application and we've notified them, we've asked for additional information, and they say, nope, we just want to move forward as is, as a board, you're allowed to review and determine if you move forward with reviewing the case, or if it's tabled, or they take back their application, so.
Yeah. Because if they don't want to answer our questions, then they know what the answer to their request for a variance is.
Exactly.
Incomplete information means no.
I'm going to jump ahead to the last section so we can wrap up.
I
without
actually
an
see, sorry, I see a change on one of his that I am somewhat in favor of. Underneath public hearing, I think it's 5 public hearings.
Okay.
Being governed. At B, where he puts in, right now it's listed, the chair shall appoint an alternate if any member steps down or recuses themselves. He was putting in that, you appoint the alternate if the primary is unable. I think adding primary there does almost make sense.
Okay.
So that's it.
Any discussion there? Any disagreement, Mr. Tripp?
No.
Mrs. Moran?
No,
It took me a while to figure out what PP is,
Yeah, that one I'm still lost on. Oh,
It's
policies and
policy.
procedures, got it, okay.
I didn't know the APP one, REP. I thought we were telling Ms. Boudreau she had to give us our stuff within 12 days of a meeting. I was,
All right, so we're good with that primary there? Or you want to use the acronym?
Primary.
Primary.
I'm out on acronyms, because it just, and no, nothing against it, I think it's well-intended, but again, the app rep is already starting, we already read it, I'm on
Yep.
page 3, I'm already confused what app and rep is. It just, it confuses things.
Okay.
it doesn't make the flow of reading it, like I don't know.
All right.
It was on,
Public hearing.
yeah, section 3, 5 dot B1 and 5 dot, sorry, what was that? B. Oh, no, sorry, just 5B, yeah. The chair shall appoint an alternate if any lead primary member steps down or recuses themselves. I think leaving everybody else as members works, because it can be an alternate or a primary.
Okay. You all set, Ms. Boudreau? Okay, yeah. The last thing is the appeal process, which we need to change. I think that's page 9. Yep, page 9. It says 20 days in page 9 of the original document. Under section 5A, says 20 days. The board needs to change that to 30 days per statute. Any discussion, disagreement?
Is it worthwhile to clarify, I guess, the point where he keeps writing the calendar, to add the calendar every time we reference days? Or can we just say something up front that all days reference our calendar?
No, we can change that to count to,
Yeah, I think anytime we put a days in just for consistency basis and to avoid any,
Well, this
Any
is a
threats of
situation
confusion?
where this is 30 calendar days. The situation previously was business days.
yeah.
So if you previously state that all days are calendar days, that's incorrect then.
correct. Yeah, I think that we can change that to those, so that
That's what you're saying, yeah.
paragraph, Ms. Boudreau, paragraph 5A is 30 days instead of 20, and the paragraph under, in 30 calendar days, I'm sorry. Okay?
So it's 30 days, not 30 calendar days?
It is 30 calendar days?
Yeah, so, because the 12 Basically, everything that we have written in here is all calendar. So I think
Yes.
honestly, any reference to days within our policies and procedures should be calendar, knowing that what we voted not to include is business, that it keeps it separate enough that we should be fine.
Yep.
Paragraph 5B, Ms. Boudreau will be also changed that where it says 30 and add calendar to that, so it's 30 calendar days. You have that one as well? Any disagreement there?
Well, in section 4, there's 30 days.
Yeah, so I think every time a date's referenced, it just needs to be calendar in here, just on a sweeping on the whole change.
Which section is that, Mr. Tripp?
It's
Which page?
Number 4.
page 9.
It's just throughout.
Oh.
Anytime in here where it references a day, it means a calendar.
Well, actually, there's a situation, if you look at the end of that paragraph, it says 5 business days.
That's relative to the notice of decision.
Yeah. So I think it's good that if it's business days, it says
Says so.
business. If it's calendar days, it should say calendar. Now,
If I'm-
especially when it changes.
We're going to have to extend if we
I do-
don't wrap up.
I was going to mention that RSA 677-2, which is motions for rehearing and appeals, it does define or clarify that the 30-day time period is within calendar days.
Okay.
And there is reference, I think it's under 6 for that RSA as
Yep.
well.
So are you suggesting we don't make the stipulation of calendar days there? Or is it redundant?
I think it's a little redundant, but where it differs from calendar, similar to what Mr. Tripp had just mentioned, then it can be clarified, so then if it's business days, it says business days, and if it doesn't say business, then therefore it's calendar.
Well, and this is one of those things that, who besides us sees this policy?
From time to time, attorneys have called our
That's true. All
process out on.
right, but it's not the general public.
Do you want me to
No, but
extend?
it is, yeah, please.
It is available on our website, so, I mean, anybody could look at it.
Oh, so we should make it understandable?
I'm going to make a motion to extend the meeting by 15 minutes.
Second.
A motion to extend the meeting by 15 minutes.
Seconded by Mr. Corbett. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so let's go back to that, whoever was discussing that calendar stipulation. Did we clear all that up?
So if there's a specification of a number of days, we should assume that it's calendar unless it's specifically noted that it's business? Okay.
Well, I think Ms. Owen's point is that us changing and specifying calendar is redundant, though I haven't fast read that to confirm or deny I agree with that. But does the board agree on that point with Ms. Owen, or do we want to, once again, just stick and go with the redundancy?
I'm okay with what Ms. Owen recommends because ultimately she's the one that is the first point of contact if there's an issue.
Well, and now I lost track of where we were at. Ms. Owen did say that this was posted on the site, and which is why the public and attorneys and engineers have it, because it's their guideline for what they produce to the board. The code enforcement has a stipulation of how they will present that to the board in that time frame, applications and whatnot.
We also had an abutter one time mention that our policies and procedures should have things added to it. So that's the only time I've ever heard of it.
Well, I would err on clarity rather than, everybody knows, because everybody doesn't know.
Yeah, I agree
No.
with Mr. Tripp. I think it's important. If we have a difference, if it's not consistently written throughout here,
Yeah.
I think it takes away any potential confusion and everything that leads to, if we can specifically point that it was right there. It said business, it said calendar. And I understand we can reference to the RSA, but lay people aren't going to read an RSA or really understand it in theory, so.
Yep.
So we are leaving the calendar, calendar there?
I think it should be, I think calendar and business should be,
Stipulated.
yeah, throughout.
Yep.
And this should be throughout the document.
All right, well, right now, we have on page 9, 3 locations, paragraph 4, 5A, and 5B, that we would add that word calendar. Is there any other places that you saw in there, Mr. Tripp, that you'd like to?
No, go ahead.
Sorry, 30 also. And then 6.
Yep, section 5C, spell out calendar. And section 6, spell out calendar. And I think we understand this document and the redundancy to Mrs. Owen's point. However, somebody else biting into this may not. And so I'm okay with the extra emphasis on spelling it out. Is there anybody that disagrees with that? Hearing no gestures there. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places, 6 places on that page, Mrs. Boudreau, that we're going to amend, okay? Once we get past this evening,
Yeah, I have,
I'll re-review it. I'll wait for Mr. Tripp to give me his input on the other section, and I'll coordinate with Ms. Boudreau to make those changes. Mr. Corbett?
yep, sorry to go back to section 3. But don't know where to put this, where we stated we don't necessarily want to call out the 12 business days.
Well,
On our page 10,
yep.
under number 8, it is officially a policy that it needs to be submitted to us no less than 12 days prior. So I do think we should update that to say 12 business days.
It is on page 12?
On page 10, under number 8.
There are also some in section 6 as well.
But didn't the chair mention that
10
will
days.
apply to the whole document? I assume somebody will do
I
a
thought it
find
said so.
search and replace. And we don't have to find individuals.
All right, so we're going to submit that change to 12 days. We're not going to eliminate it.
What section? I'm sorry.
It's on page 10.
10.
I think it's still following
Section 8.
section 3 possibly.
So the way that I read this.
Or section 6, sorry, it's under section 6. Section 6, number 8.
Oh, okay.
Page 11.
So the way that I read this is that the application has already been previously submitted, and that any new information must be provided to the board no less than 10 days prior to the meeting date. And so.
Which section are we in?
Page 10.
Page 10.
8. Number 8.
Section 8.
Okay.
Yeah, so the way I would read that is if you submit an application, it's deemed to be incomplete by your standards, they have up to 10 days prior to make it complete by what you would say your standards is.
Correct.
But that number is now being changed to 12.
Well, 12 days
But
is when
To
we're.
the spirit of what she's getting at is more
Yeah.
my comment.
But we're requiring the application be submitted 12 days prior. We're typically reviewing within a day or two of receiving that application to confirm it's complete, but we may not get any lingering documents until a couple days after that, so it may be at day 9 or day 8. But it's before it's legally noticed, it's before packets
see.
have gone out.
But these are business days.
These are business days.
I don't think it hurts to put business there.
If we keep the 10, that means if they're submitting the application at day 12, that gives them basically 2 days. So we've got to review immediately, which is fine. Review immediately and then.
Oh, I don't care about the number. I care about whether it's business or calendar.
That's fair.
What do you say?
I think it needs to be specified if it's business or calendar. If it doesn't, I think to Mr. Gollman's point, I think he interpreted it more correctly than I did. If it doesn't need to change from the 10 to the 12, I think it should say, I think we need to stipulate the business if we're stipulating business versus calendar.
Okay. Ms. Moore?
I agree.
All right. So we'll add in that section, Ms. Boudreau, page 10, number 8, 10 business days.
Correct.
Correct. For the context of that paragraph, it will remain 10 and just want to specify business days. Okay?
Now, when we have an opportunity to review the changes, can you do the red line changes so that you can see what's changed? Yes. Thank you.
I like that, thanks.
What?
I said I like that.
All right.
It's easier.
I think that gets us through this document, all right? Anybody have anything left on there they want to bring forward?
Just since this horse has been beaten to death so high, did, in all of that discussion, that section 6 public notice, there are 2 things that refer to days. So just so while you guys are on your day thing, it gets captured.
Which number?
Page 11.
Section 6, public notice, page 11 of the
Oh, yep,
original
yep.
document. And in
Yeah,
this
agreed.
case, I think
By business.
that one is business, obviously. I also think that it's implied that it's calendar days unless otherwise specified generally in documents, for my 2 cents on the matter.
Any disagreement with Mr. Donovan?
No, I think if we state that, I don't disagree. I guess my argument would be with the acronym thing, that if listed on page 1, we should be able to follow it all the way through. And we couldn't follow that. That would be my only concern, but I don't believe in that argument enough to really die on the hill if no one else does.
I was okay with eliminating the acronyms and not going with them. I think that's where we had gotten to.
Oh, no, I was just saying, like, as the reference, kind of the argument made to getting rid of them was, yeah, if we call it on page 1, that's great. By the time we got to page 3, we all forgot what each acronym stood for.
That's an age
if we
thing.
put that, every day, unless it's called out every day as calendar, does that still create confusion? But at the same point, I don't know that I agree in my argument enough to really fight for it, so
Sure.
I'm fine with Mr. Donovan's suggestion. But then we have to so really the only updates Mr. Boudreau would have to make is to the business days, and then we just put that initial note in that unless otherwise stated, every day is a calendar day, every day listed as calendar.
Well, I think in my view, we've noted the stipulation of that it's calendar or business. So any other acknowledgement to it, I don't know is necessary. I think
We have a 2-minute warning.
we've covered it. Anything else from you, Mr. Tripp, on this? Okay. I think those changes, as Mr. Tripp has suggested, be highlighted in red. We'll see those. Like I said, I'll circle back around later on in the week and we'll deal with that, okay? Workshop is now closed. We have no correspondence. We have next approval of minutes, November 6, 25. Motion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from November 6th, 2025.
As presented.
As presented.
Second.
Second by Mr. Corbett. All in favor of those, of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, minutes for 11:20.
I'm going to make a motion to table the minutes from 11/20/2025.
Second, please. Mr. Dietzel.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, we have 3 cases, Ms. Owen, for the next
Correct.
hearing? Okay. And other than that, there's no other business before us this evening, so we can take a motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Second.
Corbett, seconded by
Mr. Donlin.
Mr. Donlin. Thank you, Mr. Donlin. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we're adjourned. Have a good night.